1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
NBA Finals finally tonight. Hey, welcome to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. We do not really see this the same. We've got competing theories.
By the way, just to be clear, it's the 2024 NBA Finals.
Yeah.
It feels like we've been on to next season for about when's the last time they played? Sometime in March. I mean, yes, but
I feel
you're
like
right.
Chiefs-Ravens should be starting any moment now. We should be on to football already.
And I don't understand how you don't see this finals the same way I do.
Well, how do you see it?
This is the Luka
different.
Doncic show. It is happening. This is a transcendent star who's making his mark on NBA history. And I think he's the guy we're all going to be talking about in 10 days or whatever it's over.
Okay, so generally, not to put words in your mouth, but you're ascribing to the best player in the series theory, which is if you have the best player on the floor, generally you are going to win that series. Is that what you're saying? There's a couple of outliers, LeBron James and 2015, there's Jerry West, but for the most part, best player wins the series.
Well, no, that was Steph Curry was the best player in 2015. That's my opinion. But anyway, no, it's the best player wins a series because look back on NBA Finals history. It's like this is the Jordan Finals. This is the Bird Finals. This is the Magic Finals. You ascribe one name to all the finals. And the reason you do that is because it's really, at the end of the day, as much as a team sport it is, the ball is going to be in one guy's hand and he's going to make the big difference. So I think it's always comes down to one guy. I think at the end of the game, there's going to be one guy with a ball in his hand and it's going to be Luka, and he's either going to win it or lose it for Dallas.
Okay, so I think that's the superstar theory, and it's a fine theory, but I'm going to go with a different theory.
All right, let's hear your theory.
There might not be as much, precedent for this theory, but it has happened before, and I do see it this way, which is the team that got to the finals and failed on a big stage gets a second chance at redemption and makes no doubt about it and makes sure. And I would shorthand call this the Dirk Nowitzki theory.
Okay.
Right? This is Dirk. He plays with the Dallas Mavericks. They lose to the Miami Heat after being up 2-0. Takes for, another 5 years or so for him to get back, but they leave no doubt when he gets a second chance to make sure that he comes through and wins the finals. This also happened to Isaiah Thomas in the late 80s, where they lose to the Los Angeles Lakers. Then they come back the next year. Bad Boy Pistons lost in 7 games to the Lakers. Then they come back the next year. They swept that series. Now there's a couple asterisks there. Magic Johnson got hurt. Byron Scott got hurt. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was 41. But I do think that this is the idea of it for the Celtics is you got embarrassed 2 years ago because you had the Warriors. You were up 2-1, and Steph Curry went on an all-time run. All right, maybe not embarrassed, but you just got topped. Your team has changed. You've added. You've been the best team from wire to wire this year. And I just think that Tatum and Brown, they've been so close that this they feel is the opportunity. And the Mavs are not the juggernaut that the Golden State Warriors were. That was the continuation of a dynasty that was laying dormant for a minute that came back to show itself for one last big hurrah. this is a Mavs team that really started getting good and gelling together just a couple of months ago.
Right.
So I don't think the Celtics are as intimidated maybe by this, or would be as intimidated as they may have gotten when the Warriors started to make a big comeback on them.
So your theory is that guys learn in the finals, and that's one of the keys is the you realize there was 5 years between those two Dirk finals. Those are called one-offs, and those are random finals that have no rhyme or reason to them. At least Isaiah was the next year.
Yeah.
Like how can you connect 2006 and 2011? And it's just like Dallas was in the mix, and like there's no like strategy or logic behind those two finals. They honestly caught the Heat before they had gelled, and they won that series. I don't think that there's any real lesson in that because they were 5 years apart.
It's not a perfect analogy, but I would say this about the Boston Celtics. They're not one-offs because they haven't gone away. They've been consistent.
Right.
They've been the most consistent team in the Eastern Conference. 6 out of 8 conference finals, already been to a finals. Like, they're right there. This is not a fluke.
Well, I'm saying the Dirk Mavs were a fluke. That the pattern with the Celtics is that they get there. They actually disprove your theory in the sense that they're there every year and they're not learning lessons from these high-profile losses. They just continue to lose. So I don't know. Like, yeah, Jason Tatum has been there before, but what has he really learned? Because he was there 2 years ago and then they didn't show up last year in the playoffs. So I'm not sure. I don't know if they have it in them.
I think that there is a adjustment period to playing in a finals. You know, I do think that there is something different about it.
Why?
And because the stage is bigger, the pressure is higher, every flaw is magnified. I think it's just different. And it should be different. It should be different to play in a championship series than it should be any other series.
Joker didn't seem to have any problem with it last year.
Well, but
Steph Curry certainly didn't have any problem with it.
There are guys who will win in their first time ever in a finals.
Yeah.
That's fine. But I also think
Giannis didn't seem to be daunted by it at all.
Okay, but I can also give you, I'll give you guys who needed to have a little bit of that experience, and then they will learn from it. And I think the Celtics are the better team, and I think that Tatum and Brown are got to be sick of everyone saying how they have to be looking around and thinking, how are we being labeled as failures here?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what more do we have to do? We've been consistent. We've been right there. We're still in our mid-20s. Like, the book has not been written on us yet, and I think this is their series. So I'm feeling bullish on the Celtics.
Yeah, I mean, I don't agree with that at all. There's a guy I know, a friend of mine, who's the coach of the Edmonton Oilers, Chuck Knobloch.
Yeah, he's not your friend. His name's not Chuck.
Someone pointed out.
Get a case of the yips?
Pointed out, Florida has experience in the Stanley Cup final and you don't. Are you worried about that? And he pointed to a certain team out of Western New York called the Buffalo Bills.
I know. How dare you?
And how did that championship experience do for the Bills? I just don't agree with your theory. I just think that having been there before is not real. It sounds like an advantage, but I don't know. I just think there's a lot of precedent where just the guys come and they transcend. Michael Jordan makes his first final and he wins it. That happens so often.
Yeah, but he also had a lot of failures before that. Where
so did Luka.
But no.
Yeah, Western Conference Finals,
that's one, and they didn't make the playoffs last year. Like this is the thing. If you're talking about who has more pressure in this finals, it's not even close. That's the Boston Celtics. Why? Because they've been so close. If Dallas loses this series, no one's gonna say, "Oh my gosh, what a total, absolute." Implosion and all this stuff. No, the Mavs only became contenders like a month and a half ago.
Well, I totally agree with that, but that doesn't mean that they're going to lose a series.
It doesn't mean they're going to lose it. I just like this as the time for the Celtics. There's also another part of this, which is if not now, when? I think that the Celtics, I don't think they would blow it up if this goes the wrong way, again, because they've been such a good team. But there has to feel like there's a little bit of, if we can't get it done this year, then what more changes do we have to make?
Well, they could sleepwalk and get through the Eastern Conference. So that is a huge advantage that they don't need to blow it up because they'll be in the finals again next year. You would assume the East is just flat out terrible compared to the West. I mean, all the numbers prove that. So I don't think they need to blow it up because they'll be back next year anyway. But I just don't think this particular team, it doesn't feel like they're building towards a championship. Yeah, maybe they are. But it feels like they're kind of, are they really a different team? I know they have Drew Holiday and KP, maybe, we'll see. But it's Tatum. There's 2 minutes left in Game 6, Maggie. Do you really see Jason Tatum as a different player than he was 2 years ago?
Okay, well, let's talk about that because I didn't think Giannis was a championship player until he won a championship. Like, you don't think Dirk's a championship player until he wins a championship. There's this is part of it. This is how it goes, right? Mm-hmm. And I mentioned before the Dirk Nowitzki theory I sort of have on the the Boston Celtics, which is you went there, you lost it, you get a second shot, you don't want to squander that opportunity, you make it happen. And I just think that you're never known to be a winner until you win, and that's it. And so if Tatum does come through in the last 2 minutes of a game, then all of that previous stuff is going to get erased. And it just takes one series, and we'll look at him in a completely different way. And that's the opportunity that's sitting in front of Boston right now.
But how is that a predictive thing in the sense like, yeah, all that is true if he does that, but that's a big if.
Well,
you still get down to my question. There's 2 minutes left in the game. Luka has the ball on one side. Tatum has the ball on the other side. Who are you betting on?
Well, I don't know yet because I've never seen Luka on the final stage, so I want to understand what that's going to be like. And two, and we do this thing where we anoint people way early. I remember 3 weeks ago when Anthony Edwards was going to be no doubt slam dunk, the best player in the league, whatever you want to say. He was the guy. He's the crunch time guy. And then what happened? He got exposed in a series against Dallas.
I think he got tired.
Or whatever.
Yeah, but Luka's not like a new guy. He's already been dominating the NBA for 3 or 4 years. I mean, he's actually been around. You think he
dominating
feels
the NBA? Where's the MVPs if he's been dominating
the NBA? You
don't
think he's been dominant?
Perloff, you say you hate the way he plays and that it's not a winning style.
He's got a totally old man game, but he's scoring 30 points a game with 8 assists or 9 assists. He's crazy numbers. But here's the thing. He's just like Joker. He clearly doesn't feel pressure. I mean, he does not care about the NBA. You think he cares about the NBA Finals? He's going to go out there and talk so much trash and complain about every call. I cannot see him feeling pressure.
That doesn't mean you don't care if you complain about calls. That means you do care.
No, I mean, like, he's not going to feel the pressure. I just feel like he didn't grow up with the NBA Finals. I heard someone famously say, like, he grew up worshiping Messi. Like, he does not feel the lights and all the pressure that Jason Tatum, who grew up here, feels. I just think he's like Joker. I think he's going to go out there and play basketball. He might not win. The Celtics are definitely a better team from 1 through 15, no doubt about it. But I just don't see Luka shrinking in this situation. I think, it's going to be like Tatum and Brown have to step up because I cannot see Luka and Kyrie feeling the pressure.
You never know till you're on the stage. And I disagree with you that Luka is like Jokic in that he doesn't, just because he's a foreign player, that he doesn't care about the finals. Like, I've heard plenty of times he's talking about this is what you dream of. Anyone who plays basketball, this is what you dream of. Jokic never says stuff like that. He's like, get me back to Serbia so I can get to my horses. Luka, I don't think it's the same. I
think Doncic carries himself differently than other players. I don't think I feel like he doesn't feel pressure. He's got like a Eli Manning, Tom Brady thing. I just don't think the stage scares him at all. It doesn't strike me as a guy feeling a lot of fear in this situation. Where Tatum, sometimes you have to admit, and like maybe we'll get over this, sometimes you look at his face as the game is coming down towards the end and you wonder, is he feeling it right now? Is his confidence at 100%?
Well, it's twofold. It's Tatum and his confidence is at 100%, and then he's got Jaylen Brown there who like comes up with the yips almost at times when they can't inbounds passes. Then it's the two of them together kind of builds.
Then Jaylen Brown hit the biggest shot of the postseason against the Pacers with 2 seconds left in the game too, so he can come up big. Right, I totally agree. Like, these are guys like until they do it, like everyone's gonna be a little nervous. Are they gonna come up short in a big moment? Where Luka, maybe I think you are right. Like the next, I was a total sucker for the Anthony Edwards experience. I'm like, yes, the future is
Michael
here.
Jordan.
Yeah. I didn't know that he was gonna be able to hit a shot in the conference finals. It did not dawn on me. But he was just so tired. So Luka he just seems oblivious to everything. It just seems like, he's hurt, doesn't matter. He's got double team, doesn't matter. Nothing seems to matter. There's no way to stop this man.
So what theory do you ascribe to? Is it the superstar theory, which is best player in the series will win the series, which would be the Luka theory, or is it the revenge theory, which I am positing that the Celtics need to avenge, maybe revenge is not good, avenge their loss 2 years ago and finally push through and make good on all the promise that they've shown over the last almost decade?
Yeah. Or you could flip that as the pressure of knowing you've failed time and time again and knowing what the outcome will be if you fail one more time. It'll be bad for Boston. It'll be really bad.
It will. 855-212-4227. You are welcome to weigh in. Okay, we've got a story that broke late last night. Some odd situation involving the WNBA. So we will get to all that in just a moment. Still collecting the details on what may have been a bit of a scary situation. So we'll get to that in a moment. It is Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Sponsored by the all-new Hyundai 2024 Santa Fe, equipped for adventure with capable features like available H-Track all-wheel drive and standard third-row seating. Welcome back to Maggie Perloff Show. Debating the NBA Finals, does it come down to the stars? That's what I believe. Or is it experience in the finals, which the Boston Celtics have, and Maggie is banking on? So I've been out there. Yep. I think the Mavs in 6. I just think Kyrie and Luka carry the day, and I think actually the Mavs front court kicks the Celtics' butt, just like they did the T-Wolves. It is a team game. We're going to walk away from this and be like, it was the Luka Finals. You see it differently.
Yeah, you placed that bet on the Mavs. I couldn't really bet the Celtics because the value wasn't there. I'm not going to go it was minus 220 or whatever it was for them to win the series, but I do think that the Celtics are going to win the series, so I might be more inclined to just bet game by game. And I think this is the time for the Celtics. I don't think they're intimidated. I don't think even if they get down, I think they have the muscle memory of, all right, let's stay relaxed here. Let's not get all crazy and do 7 turnovers in one game or all that stuff. So
yeah, you trust Joe Mazzulla against Jason Kidd? You trust Jason Tatum against Luka Doncic? I'm trying to chip away at your confidence here.
Well, but here's the thing. Nobody trusted Jason Kidd like 3 months ago. It's not like he's going up against Phil Jackson here.
But I mean, listen, this Western Conference playoffs, they have been superior in the X's and O's. Their strategy's been way better than their opponents.
Yeah, and they got the right players in there that are.
I don't know. I feel like T-Wolves could match them in talent, but I think every move the Mavs made worked. And every move the T-Wolves made, except for Game 4, was terrible.
Didn't work.
I'm not sure I agree with that. I don't think it's the players. I think they are playing as a team. Luka and Kyrie have bought in. I credit Kidd for that.
Okay, well, I'm not going to go anointing Jason Kidd quite yet as the savant coach of the NBA, number one. Number two, this has been a good story of redemption for Kyrie Irving, but let me see it play out a little bit. Let's see. He's all zenned out right now and mature and has learned stuff, and then let's see what happens if the Boston crowd really gets into him, and we'll see what happens if, let me just reserve a little judgment here that everyone's been such a changed man. And then I've seen this before with Luka because we do this all the time. And he's on a heater right now, and he's a great player. But we anoint way too early. And I saw people said Luka's the best player in the league. I mean,
you're saying that like it's a hot take. He was already top 3 in the league.
Jokic is the best player in the league.
But Luka's been right behind him. I mean,
no,
Luka's been definitely.
Giannis has been right behind him. Joel Embiid has been right behind him. And now,
Luka's definitely been a top 3 player in the NBA for at least 3 years now.
That's fine.
I don't think anybody's arguing that.
Well, I don't know.
Top 3 is so close to 1. What's the difference?
No, but he was not known up until a couple months ago that it couldn't be a winning style of playing.
That is true. He was definitely a black hole.
Right. So can I just reserve a little judgment here? And I feel like we're dismissing the Celtics because, we've seen they've had some high-profile failures, but they've been a great team. They made the personnel adjustments that they needed to. It's not the same liabilities that they had before. And I just want to see how the Dallas Mavericks handle this whole thing.
I mean, he's been top 8 in MVP voting the last 4 years. So he's been in the
that's
MVP.
Not the best player in the league. Jason Tatum has probably also been top 8 or around there.
Listen. If you look at any player ranking, show me one where Jason Tatum's ahead of Luka Doncic.
Well, right now, but I can give you 2022 when they were in the finals and Jason Tatum was being touted as he was going to be the next great thing in the next face of the league. I've just done this long enough to know how we are with basketball.
I mean, a year ago when Luka was not in the playoffs and Jokic was winning a title, no one was saying Luka's the best player on the planet.
No, they were saying he was out of shape.
Right.
And slow and hurt. And Kyrie Irving also hurt for a lot of his career, unfortunately, and knock on wood for him now, he's been healthy. So,
Luka's numbers are obviously they're LeBron-ish. I mean, there's no doubt. Statistically, no one's ever saying Luka is not in the top 2 or 3 players in the league. Nobody else is scoring 29 points with nine boards and 9 assists except for LeBron. Those two. Who else is like that? Tatum's not like that.
No, but it was a similar type of thing of what we said about James Harden and the big usage guys. So, and that never won. And Harden's got his own failures, but I'm reserving judgment here, and I'm on the Celtics. I got to figure out how I'm going to bet this series.
Well,
though,
let me
because
ask you
again,
this.
there's not value of just betting them to win because they're the favorite.
If you were going to do an open draft in the NBA right now, I mean, I'm sorry, I know I'm maybe recency biased. There's no doubt Luka has got to be your number one, right? I mean, who?
No, it's Jokic.
Jokic is 29. Luka's 25.
I would still take Jokic. Let's get into this. You are welcome to weigh in, by the way. 855-212-4227. You can watch the show, youtube.com/Infinity Sportsnet and twitch.tv/Infinity Sports Network, where Phil said he wants to call in, but he's afraid that I'm going to go ham on him like I went on Pine Needle yesterday in our chat. I feel like I love the weirdos and the coffee drinkers. Bring your best shot.
What did Pine Needle say that you destroyed him for? I can't remember.
It was about how Eric Spoelstra is under the same scrutiny as JJ Redick, and I disagreed on that. JJ Redick, a little more famous, a little more familiar with his work than we were Eric Spoelstra when he was the video coordinator for the Miami Heat. Meanwhile, JJ, going to get that job of the Lakers. Anyway, Bogusch is here to update us on what happened with the WNBA last night with the Sky at the team hotel.
Yes, all the headlines sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Protect your home and auto. Save when you bundle. Get a quote at progressive.com. We already knew you can't tweet that Caitlin Clark wasn't elbowed by a Holy Cross player during the NCAA tournament. Apparently, you can't body check Clark to the court for no reason either. But if you do, they're going to come after you. But seriously, Kennedy Carter and the Sky checking into their D.C. hotel yesterday, and a man with a camera was waiting for them. He apparently yelled horrible things. The players tried to get in Carter's face. Team security quickly de-escalated the situation, according to Sky officials.
Yeah, so one of the players, there was a video that was posted and then it was deleted, but one of the players from the Sky wrote in a post on social media that the edited video didn't include the man directing racist and misogynistic remarks at the players. And I know this athletes have to and famous people have to deal with crazy stuff and crazy fans sometimes. I do think it is a bit of a different dynamic when it is man and a woman. It's like just different. Like a man steps to another man, that's one dynamic. And when a man comes to get into a face of a woman, I'm sorry, it just is. It feels like it's perceived, I know, by women as a bit more of a threat than like somebody, stepping to Kristaps Porzingis or, saying something mean to Kyrie Irving. I do think it's different.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, the worst of the worst is, I remember, it can be really dangerous. Monica Seles, obviously. It could get really bad. And I do think it could get bad with men, too.
Definitely.
Like, fans can be scary. There is no doubt about it.
So this is like an interesting twist on this because you and I have talked about it. Bogusch, you kind of alluded to it. Like you can't post anything about Caitlin on social. You will get a lot of backlash if you perceive anything to be like criticizing her or negative. There is this thing about people feeling very protective of her, fans feeling very protective of her. And you're watching her get, pushed around and tested in her rookie season. And I think that some fans taking it too far, obviously last night, but I think fans are almost taking it personally. Like, why are you beating up on our girl? And I think that spilling into real life like this is obviously like your worst nightmare. We're lucky that this didn't get any further because security was there. But again, more tribulations that leagues and stars go through as you're growing, and then even when you're big. And
this one is also it doesn't remind me of really anything. It is a unique situation. Yeah. It's like because the sport's obviously having an explosion of attention, and I can't remember another sport like when Jordan came along and lifted the NBA. It was just a totally different dynamic. Caitlin is a whole new ballgame. Tiger lifted golf, totally different. Yeah. It feels like just the negativity that comes along with all this too. There's something there too that we didn't have. Like if you want to compare Caitlin Clark to Tiger Woods or Michael Jordan, like that was like way more positive. It feels like this guy is for some reason not super surprising. Like you said, people really get in their feelings about Caitlin Clark. So lucky it didn't go really badly.
Yeah.
I think just in general, this is all happening way too much in non-sports areas. People who they think they're involved with things and they run up and just start screaming at people. Like you could be mad at Kennedy Carter. You can think she's a dirty player, is a dirty play. That's all fine and good. But you can't get in your car or get on the metro and end up at their DC hotel and like personally attack somebody because and we don't necessarily know this person's full motivation, but if you're going there to defend Caitlin Clark, like you're completely out of line.
Totally.
You just completely are. You have no business being there. Caitlin Clark doesn't need you doing that. Kennedy Carter doesn't deserve that from you or anybody else. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, but are you saying Bogusch it's worse now than before?
It feels like there's people people yelling at school boards and politicians
right. Got it.
Like there's too much of like inserting yourself in situations that you're not involved in or going too far and being upset at somebody and like threatening violence or in any way making somebody feel unsafe.
Well, and I think there's another part of it. We're talking about someone who showed up outside of the Chicago Sky Hotel last night in Washington, D.C. They're in town. To try to get into Kennedy Carter's face sort of like on behalf of Caitlin Clark because she, was on the bad end of a hard foul and saying racist and misogynistic things. The fact that he had the camera is also very of the now.
Yes.
It's like people who are doing this for the shine of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, and not only am I doing it, I'm posting it and trying to get my 15 minutes of fame or what have you.
I actually thought the camera was kind of weird. Like, wait, so he had like an old school camera?
Were you thinking like Eyewitness News, like showing up with the camera on the shoulder?
I thought it was a TMZ guy trying to get a picture of something. Actually, that's what I really thought. Like, why? So why did he not have a cell phone?
They did say camera.
Yeah, the camera is an interesting detail here.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like, so he had like a Nikon?
Well, I was thinking it's more like, old school when you go on family vacation, you're holding on the shoulder with
camcorder?
one eye closed, like, hey, like dad's telling everyone, hey, get together,
Well, I'm actually a little less afraid of a guy holding a camera. Yeah, definitely. Like, because he's there to get pictures.
Well, I think he was videotaping with the camera.
Oh, so
not a still.
Okay.
Yeah. Wait, that's a good question. I'm more scared of the guy with
so
the old
this guy had
camera.
like a shoulder camera?
I don't know. If you had just a phone, it's possible you just happened upon this. If you show up with a freaking camera, like you were ready for it, you were planning this thing.
Right, and then what are you doing with that? You're going to sell the footage?
He put it on social. And it was taken down.
He put it on. I thought the players put it on social. Oh.
I think this was a video of the incident was posted on X on Wednesday, but later deleted. And there was a forward from the Sky who wrote on a post that video was edited to not include the man directing racist and misogynistic comments. So clearly it's the video he posted.
Yeah, wow. I mean, maybe he went to try to get them to do something to him, and that's why he was trying to entice them to react to him being terrible, and then it's going to be on camera.
Part of the story.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, go to their next game and boo her every time she touches the ball if you want. Bring a sign, like do the normal sports stuff if you're that angry. But this stuff is ridiculous.
Yeah, who knows what the mental state of this person is, but that's not cool.
On the court last night, Asia Wilson led the Aces to a 95-81 win in Dallas. 36 points, 14 rebounds, 6 steals for Wilson. The first 30-point, 10-rebound, 5-steal game in WNBA history. Texas softball freshman Tegan Cavan started her World Series with 2 one-hitters of Stanford last night. In Game 1 of the championship series, she hit the first Oklahoma Sooner she faced, and then this happened.
Jennings, just like that, launches one. And what a start for Oklahoma. Jennings, a 2-run home run to grab the lead.
Beth Mowins on ESPN. Tia Jennings, 2-run homer, starting Oklahoma towards an 8-3 win and a 1-0 lead in this championship best of 3. Oklahoma, looking to 4-peat, is now 6-0 all-time against Texas in the NCAA tournament. Game 2, again, just after 8 Eastern tonight.
We need a little more drama.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, we were kind of bored last night. That's all we had, me and Bogusch.
Well, yeah, thank you for putting me on that text thread.
Yeah,
you can take me off of it. Although I was watching. What are you going to do tonight? You got NBA Finals, you got college softball. You two are like the biggest college softball fans I know.
Well, it is the power of ESPN because there could be NBA Finals, Stanley Cup Final, everything could be going on, and they are showing women's softball. That is just on that network.
Watching it.
That is on that network 24 hours a day for the last 10 years. And yeah, I'm definitely watching it. It's just visually, it's such a cool sport. I just need a close game next time.
We need some drama. We need Texas to not let us down tonight. Don't need them to win, but we need a good game for the iPad next to me because the finals will get the full TV
Oh,
No.
okay. You're going to go iPad for the...
Yeah, we'll go second screen for softball.
Okay.
ESPN
Yeah.
Plus. Give them,
exactly.
them a nod.
Right.
Wait,
I'm sure they could use our help.
This is such a dumb... I should know. So the finals on ABC?
The NBA Finals is on ABC.
It's not on ESPN?
No. Maybe it's on both, but it's definitely on ABC as well.
All right. I don't know. I can never find the NBA playoffs. I've watched more episodes of Rizzoli and Isles looking for the Eastern Conference second
I'll
round.
just stay here.
Well, I got caught up yesterday on Celebrity Wheel of Fortune.
Oh, we were looking for sports and you got stuck?
Yeah, and it was I just went to ABC, and it was all former NFL players. I'll tell you what, you know who's got the best agent going? Rashad Jennings. He's everywhere. They're like, after your stellar NFL career, I'm like, Rashad Jennings, like, he was fine, but he's up there with Jared Allen, who's like going to be a Hall of Famer, and Pat Sajak barely asks Allen anything about football because he's so hung up on Rashad Jennings' career. Like, this is not like the other. Meanwhile, Marcellus Wiley clearly was just even showing off. He's solving the puzzle with like 2 letters revealed because he's Ivy League.
But I
Freaking
saw
smart people.
I saw the very end of that, and I saw him not get the final puzzle, which was "that is obvious."
Yeah, that was
which
the
is pretty
phrase.
ironic.
That is obvious, and he couldn't get it. But he was killing folks. Jared Allen and Rashad Jennings look like, it was foolish.
I don't know if that's brand new because then Celebrity Jeopardy started, and it was the Peter Schrager episode. So I don't know if those are reruns or not.
Oh,
but
maybe.
I hadn't seen Jared Allen in a long time, and
He's
the dude's
slim.
Yeah.
Like, he's on this whole thing about he wants to be a fully self-sustained.
Like rancher, right? Farmer?
So he's like a big hunter, but not for sport. Like, he actually does it to feed himself. And he said on the show that his goal in life is to be completely self-sustained, where he doesn't have to go to a grocery store.
I love that. Yeah.
Right.
That's
Living
like
off the land.
That's like my show Alone, where the guys have to live out in the wilderness alone. I mean, dude retired on a horse. He's like,
It was such a cool
he can
retirement.
pull it off for sure.
But here's what are you going to miss, right? So you get your vegetables, he can hunt his meat and do all that, but you bake your own bread. I get it. But at some point, don't you just want like a vodka tonic? Would you do that?
Yeah, but I think also like the thing that you don't mention in that is that he made $80 million, so like he doesn't need to do anything else. Like the rest of us need to go to the grocery store, so I can't make my own mayonnaise. Like I need to go. Like Hellman's needs to help me do a couple of things.
You could easily make your own booze, I'm sure.
But moonshine?
Well, I mean, vodka's just potatoes. I'm assuming he's growing potatoes. Yeah, easily. That's like
Okay, so
yeah.
not that. What's the
But
one thing I
also,
can't replace?
Jared Allen, though, I don't think
Doritos.
I don't think he's a guy who you want making your own booze. Didn't he have some problems, as I recall?
Oh, that was my spin on it.
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
I just want a margarita in a can. Like, why can't?
Yeah.
That's where I'm going to run into trouble. I'll bake my own bread, but
I actually, honestly, like, and candy and other processing. You lean towards some processing.
you know what? To my credit, all those Mike and Ikes were around here didn't have a single one.
Good for
I'm
you.
off. I'm trying to be off sugar.
You're one step away from living off the land.
One step.
Because I turned down the Mike and Ikes.
Yeah,
That was
no.
the last hurdle. Was Mike and Ike's.
Yeah, if we just figure out a way to naturally make a margarita, then Maggie's gonna be totally
That's it.
fine.
Peace
Then
out,
I'm off
Maggie.
the grid.
Yeah, yeah.
have to wind up
We
your
could
generator before we
create a
show.
homemade still. Just give Maggie her booze.
The problem is that I would have to go vegan because there's no way. Jared Allen, good for him. I grew up with a lot of people who hunted in upstate New York. It's not my scene.
Well, what if Perloff's sister kills chickens and delivers them to you?
To me.
Yeah. No,
Then what am I going to do with it?
Still make
Jennifer
it.
could definitely kill you some chickens.
Is she going to defeather it for me too? Because I'm not doing that.
No, that's the hardest part. Killing them is easy. Actually, cleaning them is hard.
Says
Yeah.
the murderer.
But just murdering them and just dismembering their bodies is the easy part. It's the feathers. They're
Well,
really
I don't want
burn
to
you.
get dark here, but think of a chicken in your head. Like that is a small head. Like there's not a lot of brain going on with a chicken.
Right.
And the other thing too, I was just there. Apparently, like
On the farm.
yeah, I was just at my sister's house about a month ago. Apparently, Jennifer is not the biggest threat. There has been a fox in the hen house of late.
Literally.
Yeah, she's like, yeah, I come out a lot of mornings. There's a lot of blood and feathers around. I'm like, what is going on? And it's like a slaughterhouse in your place. So,
Birds are doomed. Should we call somebody?
yes.
Where's the fence? Protect them.
Well, that's like, I guess chicken coops is a real science. You got to be really careful because there's a lot of varmints around. This is, by the way, the suburbs of Boston.
Yeah, right. This is not Montana.
This is not where Jared Allen is, but I don't know. Yeah, Jed could help live on the. But I'm not a hunter, but I would like to eat the meat that Jared Allen kills.
Well, see,
I'm going to visit this dude. It sounds awesome.
But like, you're really going to go through, you're going to skin it and all that stuff. Like, you're going to lose me. So I'll just have to go vegan if this is going to be my future.
Does he live on the way to San Antonio?
Oh, he's got to live in Wyoming or something.
He
right?
said something about Montana. He mentioned.
Yeah.
I mean, is that too far out of the way for you, or is that still good enough?
If Jared Allen would have me take me hunting, I would go in 3 seconds. That'd be amazing. I mean, I don't know if I could do the horseback thing, but yeah. You guys wouldn't want to hang with Jared Allen on his self-sustaining farm?
I think I'd feel very insufficient as a man within like 30 minutes, and I'd just want to go home defeated. Like, I've done everything wrong for 44 years.
He just like passes you a gun. And you're like, ah.
It knocks me over. I can't even pick it up, let alone shoot it at an animal.
Here's your bow and arrow, Bogusch. Get out there.
Hands you a knife and says, we're going boar hunting, and you're out.
Let's get to baseball in Chicago last night. The White Sox losing again.
The next pitch. Hit in the air. Deep left center. Back goes Robert. Cubs win the ball game. Mike Tauchman with a game-winning home run. Oh, listen to this crowd.
Pat Hughes on Cubs radio. Mike Tauchman's solo shot bottom 9 gave the Cubbies a 7-6 victory over the Sox, who have now dropped 13 in a row. In each of the last 5 losses, they've led by 2 or more runs. They had a 5-1 cushion last night. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa had a game-ending RBI single in Toronto. The Blue Jays 3, the Orioles 2. Baltimore a surprising 6-9 in one-run games. The Mariners' 4-game win streak ending with a 2-1 loss in Oakland, and the Angels got a 3-game sweep of the Padres 3-2. It's their first sweep at home since last July. And Commanders head coach Dan Quinn says the team did not know of sexual assault allegations against Brendan McManus when they signed the kicker back in March. The team found out basically when we all did. McManus was released a week later. 2 flight attendants say he harassed them on the Jaguars charter flight to London last September. Guys, back to you.
Yeah, that's going to be a major contract dispute between him. Did he have to disclose that he was, anything had gone on? Also, doesn't the owner own the private jet company where this happened?
He owns the company that owns, like a holding company that owns the charter company. So I guess the thought is he probably, after the fact, could find out how legitimate the accusations were to a certain extent, and then know whether they should get rid of McManus or wait this out for it to clear. And then so them dumping him seems like they know some of it is at least legit.
It's just funny to me that, when you go through the draft, they're sending basically retired FBI agents to go talk to every bartender in the college town to try to figure out the character of these guys.
Yep.
But clearly not doing much work on the free agent signings, which is interesting. Okay, Bogusch, thank you so much. Coming up, will one NFL team have a major regret this season? Got some new information. We'll dive into that next. It's Maggie Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
I love this time of year because we get little of the tea, so to speak, Perloff. You know, the behind the scenes stuff comes to light.
Of what?
Well, specifically the NFL. And
Okay.
wondering if one team is going to end up having some major regrets here. Let's hear Deebo Samuel from the San Francisco 49ers confirming that trade talks did indeed happen between him and the Pittsburgh Steelers during the draft.
I had a conversation with my agent about it. You know, that was going back and forth with whoever it was, but it was a thing at first. But we done moved past it, so we're here to get better.
It's been noted that you don't have a lot of money next year, so possibly they could get out from that. I mean, do you realize that when you sign the deal almost, or does it hit you now? This might be your last year.
I mean, at the end of the day, contract was signed. I know what I signed up for, and we just focus on this year.
Okay, so he did confirm that the trade discussion happened, that the Steelers were one of the teams. Okay, this is from the 49ers perspective here. They paid Deebo Samuel. To pay him again, I don't know if that's going to end up happening. But I heard this, and I'm thinking about it from the Pittsburgh Steelers side and thinking this is a huge missed opportunity for Pittsburgh. And I think they could end up regretting not pulling the trigger on a Deebo trade. Now, we don't really know what the nitty-gritty was of what the Steelers were going to have to give up, but Deebo would have been a really nice addition to that team.
Yeah, but also, like, the Steelers have a problem with pain in the neck receivers, right? Deebo, obviously, the fact that Deebo shared this is so Deebo. I mean, I'm sure hundreds of players know that they were on the trade market, but Deebo has always been a borderline malcontent. Of course, he has to put that out there because he's upset. And of course, he's not thrilled with this contract. Because you know when another time he wasn't thrilled with his contract? Always. Deebo is just always kind of complaining. So you had him, but George Pickens was already complaining. You just got rid of Deontay Johnson, who was complaining. I don't know. Do you really need another character receiver there?
I think that I'd take that risk. I would, because the Steelers, they haven't won a Super Bowl in a long time, and I know that the fan base is definitely frustrated. I think they would want to take this risk because of the amount of upside that Deebo Samuel brings you. I mean, look what happens when he's not on the field with the San Francisco 49ers, right. A team that has all the weapons in the world. They struggle without Deebo. Right,
but he fits that team perfectly. Does he make a huge difference? Like, Steelers are always 9-8, 10-7.
Yeah.
Does Deebo make them 13-4?
Well, I don't know if one player besides a quarterback would make that kind of a jump, but I would love to find out, because I don't want to be in this limbo anymore if I'm the Steelers. Like, your team's just good enough to always be in the mix, but they're not a legit Super Bowl contender right now. Add on top of it, you kind of have this interesting year for the Steelers where your quarterback situation is really boom or bust. You know, it's either going to be great and either Russell Wilson or Justin Fields could work out and you find a solution, or neither of them work and you're left back at the drawing board.
Well, you didn't invest a lot. I mean, right. Wilson is practically free and Justin Fields is free. So
sure, but it's still boom or bust.
It's boom or bust, right? But the bust isn't going to really bury you as a franchise. So there is I'm just putting a little silver lining on that. They set themselves up where they get to experiment this year with the quarterback.
And that's another reason why I feel like Deebo would have been a great fit for the Steelers, because you're not paying a quarterback right now. Yeah. So you actually can find a way to fit him in. Yep. You know, you didn't want to pay Kenny Pickett. That's fine. He's gone. You had a little wiggle room here. And I don't know. I thought because Arthur Smith is now going to be the new offensive coordinator for the Steelers, where's his bread and butter? The run game. Yeah. And Deebo is so versatile with that aspect of his game.
So you're mixing in Deebo into the run game a la San Francisco. Okay.
Love it. Of course. You'd be a fool not to mix Deebo into the run game.
I don't know. It's like
San Francisco gave you the blueprint.
Yeah, you're making Pittsburgh less explosive under Arthur Smith by putting your $22 million receiver at running back. Feels like a grind.
Well, not all the time. Every Steelers game feels like a grind. They want to win every game 13-10.
This whole thing, it's funny. Like, you're telling me you're a Steelers fan. You're adding a $20-something million a year receiver, and you get Deebo. I just don't feel like that's what they need. I mean, Deebo he's very much like a grinded out, tough guy. He's going to get the tough yard and winning.
Yeah.
You need somebody explosive. You need a down the field guy. I don't know. I feel like their offense is going to be very slow.
The way what you just described, like, you got grounded out, tough yards. Yeah. I mean, this is the AFC North we're talking about. That fits the bill perfectly. And you got Pickens there for your explosive stuff.
You're talking, man, you add Deebo, don't add Deebo. This got 9 and 8 in capital letters written all over it. And put a bright sign. They're going to beat the Ravens 17-13 one time because TJ Watt's going to get 3 sacks.
Yeah.
I just think that, what are you doing here, Pittsburgh? I'm not sure I see the elite team emerging out of this with or without Deebo Samuel.
Man, so I think this is going to be a major regret that the Steelers are going to feel. And I think the fans are going to feel it too, because they got to get out of this limbo. And you're trying to sell this fan base again on this quarterback situation. And I think they are reluctantly going along with the plan. You know, it's I guess, like, I talked to a huge Steeler fan, a huge Steeler fan at our building here. I'm like, so who do you like here? Do you like Russell Wilson? Do you like Justin Fields? He's like, well, I got to really hope that Russell Wilson is the guy. Like, they're talking themselves into this. It's not awesome.
Well, think about it. If you're the GM of the Steelers, you're Omar Khan. Deebo's 28. He's going to be 29. He's upset with his contract. He's going to be immediately complaining the day he gets there about his money. He's not upset necessarily, but like, you have a headache. Like, why are you giving up a first-round pick for a headache? That's crazy.
I think that Mike Tomlin, he's dealt with this kind of thing before in terms of receivers who have been malcontents. He knows what he'd be walking into here. I think it's just all about what would be the compensation and what would be the return. And I think that's it. I don't think Mike Tomlin is the type of coach that's scared away by any kind of I would say character concerned. I mean, it's all just about his contract. It's not like Antonio Brown stuff.
Right, but let me ask you this. Would you rather have Ayuk or Deebo if you're the Steelers? Like, what would you get? Say you had to give up the pick.
Yeah.
Who would you give it up for? You have to pay Ayuk, but he's younger.
Yeah, I kind of feel like Deebo fits him a little bit better. I really do.
Well, I would go Ayuk, I think, because, yeah, I know. Because exactly the reason you said, like, Deebo fits what they're doing right now. Like,
no, fits the Steelers, I think.
Yeah, I know.
better,
He
right?
fits what the Steelers are doing right now. I don't want to do what the Steelers are doing right now. I actually want to score some points in today's NFL.
You're barking up the wrong
I do
tree
not
there,
want to
pal.
see. I want to see Ryan Tannehill 2.0 like dominate a terrible AFC South, win 10 games, and get smoked in the playoffs. I want to spice this Steelers thing up a little bit. Bring in Ayuk, get a speed guy, actually throw the ball to George Pickens, stuff like that, crazy stuff like that.
No, these bad weather games in Cleveland, bad weather games in Baltimore and Cincinnati, and yourself in Pittsburgh. I love a Deebo Samuel. So maybe they'll reignite these trade talks.
And how many wild card losses in a row are we going to do here? What are we doing, Maggie? We got to blow this up and start over.
Wow. There is news that is breaking right now that nobody saw coming. Holy moly, is this true? All right, we're going to confirm this in the break. Major breaking news. What is going on? Stay with us. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining.
Show. There's some every single day. A Maggie Perloff show. There's someone in the chat who steals the show. He sings along, he cracks us up all day. We call him Wronger, but he's always right, okay. Oh, Wronger, our witty friend. wakes up at dawn, coffee brewing, screen turned on. He's got a favorite show to see, the Maggie and Perloff Symphony. Oh, pine needles are turning tight to infinity, sports radio every night. Maggie and Perloff, your daily delight. In their words, you find your light. From highlights to the breaking news, every take you can't refuse. In the chat, he's always there with comments, questions, wisdom to share. Oh, pine needles, you're tuned in tight to infinity, sports radio every night. Maggie, standing in my room, scrolling through the tube, watching Maggie and Perloff, getting in the groove. Found a viewer in the chat, his name's Delta 9 Brian. Spitting fire comments, he's the #1 fan. Got his fingers moving, stepping non-stop, dropping all the knowledge, never gonna flop. Delta 9 Brian, he's the king of the chat. With his love for the show, there ain't no doubt. Every episode, he's always in the mix, leaving comments for the host, he's got the tricks. Delta 9 Brian, he's a YouTube star.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Good morning to some breaking news. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Well, Pearl, looks like we got a competition for who's going to be the next LA Lakers head coach. We got a report 2 days ago. Shams Charania said the Lakers were, quote-unquote, zeroing in on J.J. Redick. Yeah. And now put this Woj bomb in your cereal and eat it. The Los Angeles Lakers are targeting UConn's Dan Hurley to become the franchise's next head coach and are preparing a massive long-term contract offer to bring the back-to-back national champion to the NBA, sources tell ESPN. Apparently, the Lakers have had preliminary contact with Hurley. Sides are planning to escalate discussions in the coming days. Hurley's been at the forefront of the Lakers' search from the beginning of the process, news to us, even while the organization has done its due diligence interviewing other candidates. More from Woj. Rob Pelinka and Jeannie Buss are eager to formally discuss their vision with Hurley of marrying his dominant program, built upon both his tactical acumen and elite player development, to the storied Lakers brand, sources tell ESPN. So J.J. Redick or Dan Hurley, and things just got a lot more interesting in Hollywood.
You speak NBA insider. What's a more declarative verb, zeroing in on, or Woj targeting, or Shams zeroing in on? And by the way, so you know what's going to end up happening here?
Tell us.
Next Wednesday, they're going to hire Dave Adelman, Nuggets assistant. No, I'm just kidding.
James Borrego step on up, and neither of these guys, they're just using it for contract stuff.
So does this, okay, so obviously it's the latter one. I think Woj saying the offer's ready. This means Dan Hurley to the Lakers is happening. What happens to J.J. Redick?
Okay.
Like, is he just sit there with pie on his face?
Maybe he does. And listen, it's not a bad cushion to fall back on, which is you get to call the NBA Finals, and you're one of the broadcasters who I'm sure is making quite a bit of money. But sure, JJ would be embarrassed, sure.
Yeah, but he can't just disappear. He's going to be sitting there calling 6 or 7 games of the finals. Everyone's going to be like, you were supposed to be the Lakers coach. You got beat by Dan Hurley. Okay. I think that's a little embarrassing for him. But
now this is interesting. So the headline on ESPN says Lakers preparing massive offer to UConn's Dan Hurley. Now, again, not to get too in the weeds here, but that's not saying he's going to take it. That means that they're preparing an offer. And there is a very cozy relationship between Woj and the Hurley family. Woj, I don't know if it was his first book. It was definitely the book that put him on the map. Wrote a New York Times bestseller about Dan Hurley's father, Bob Hurley, and his high school program at St. Anthony's. This is a relationship that goes back a long way. So if I'm being maybe a bit cynical here, I might think, wow, is Dan Hurley trying to get a new contract or more money from UConn? And is he using this Laker job to try to get that? And he can always say, my love is of the college game, and was just flirting with the Lakers.
No, this is too naked to do that. It's too out there. There's too many details in this Woj report. Like, this has been planned by both sides. This is very, very obvious. Woj even has the several paragraphs of disclaimer how LeBron has signed off. Like, it's already...
Okay, that was my next question.
There's several steps into this. Obviously, like, this feels like it was done about 10 days ago, which is so funny. So how did all the J.J. Redick stuff get out? Because it's, what time is it? 7:03 Eastern. How did Woj write a 19-paragraph story overnight with all these details and all this bio information on Dan Hurley unless he's had this story? And he did say they targeted from the beginning of the process.
Yeah, that was interesting from the beginning. Can I also, so of course, LeBron James is a massive part of this. Everyone believed that J.J. Redick was really only in the mix or even a front runner because of his relationship with LeBron. Turns out that could have been an entire smokescreen. Here's something else for you from Woj's article. Not only has LeBron been impressed with Hurley's sophisticated offensive actions, the possibility of them drafting Bronny makes Hurley an even more intriguing candidate. If that happens, James gets a chance to play with his son and the benefit of Hurley and his staff becoming responsible for Bronny's pro development. It is Bronny's work. Like, LeBron is Truman showing this thing for his son, if this is really true. He is setting up everything perfectly to try to give his kid the biggest chance to succeed. On one side, like, as a parent, wow, what a amazing thing to do for your kid. But for the Lakers to go along with this, if this is all about Bronny.
And you know what's crazy too is because hey, how you doing? I just said to you guys in the break, I was like, wow, this sounds like Jeannie Buss and Rob Pelinka telling LeBron, hey, this ain't your franchise anymore, pal. You wanted your friend J.J. Redick to be the head coach? No, we want a coach who's a winner. And you know, we can get into the college coaches going to the NBA and vice versa, but now, if this is because if LeBron is co-signing this and pushing Dan Hurley because of Bronny, because of his kid, then
it's having your cake and eating it too.
Exactly.
LeBron is definitely in charge of this coaching hire.
Well, wait, one thing. I mean, I think Dan Hurley would be the top candidate in any coaching search for any team in any level of basketball. There's no, if you could get Dan Hurley, I don't think there's a team in the league who would say no to that. Like, Dan Hurley just won 2 national titles in college basketball. Like, you don't even have to rush. Like, nobody can say no to this. Like, everyone's been trying to pry him out of stores for 2 years now.
Well, but I haven't really heard a lot. It's not like Brad Stevens, who went to back-to-back national titles and then immediately went to the Celtics. It was
right.
Like, and that worked. You know, that worked. He didn't win a title, but that definitely worked. And now Brad Stevens is the head coach. I mean, John Calipari going from college to the pros didn't work.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying, like, Dan Hurley, Kentucky would have killed or murdered you to get Dan Hurley. And I don't think anyone thought he was on the NBA radar because Dan Hurley seems like a college-style coach. But I'm sure it's just like Coach K. I mean, but Dan Hurley's even hotter. Like, he's as hot as you get right now. Like, you don't have to rationalize this to LeBron. Like, dude, we just got Dan Hurley. That's amazing, right?
Yeah, but he's totally unproven on the pro level. And this is interesting also from Woj's article. So this is the breaking news this morning. Adrian Wojnarowski has that the Lakers are targeting Danny Hurley, the back-to-back champion at UConn, as their next head coach. So maybe J.J. Redick, that could have been a smokescreen. It could have been a head fake.
By the way, it's so funny. You said Dan Hurley has never proven at the NBA level. J.J. Redick's never held a clipboard in his entire life.
At least he played for 15 years in the NBA. Dan Hurley, according to this article.
Yeah, he played in the NBA too. It's not like Dan Hurley didn't play. Well, did he make the NBA? I don't know.
I don't think so. Bobby did.
Dan Hurley never got a cup of coffee in the NBA?
I don't think so. At Seton Hall, after Seton Hall, I don't know.
Oh, okay.
So Hurley is often described his ambition to one day coach in the NBA and has expressed to the Lakers a desire to explore the full picture of a partnership with one of basketball's winningest franchise. I'm sorry, I must have missed all those conversations with Dan Hurley wanting to go to the NBA. Bogusch is here. You got a thought on this?
So
pal?
On that specifically, our I think common friend Adam Shine at SiriusXM, he tweeted, "Remember what Dan Hurley told us about the NBA on his show." But I don't know. So there must have been at least one conversation.
Okay.
But the other thing, like, no one heard Dan Hurley's name about this job before 9 minutes ago, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to call BS then. This is a second paragraph of the story at ESPN.com. Hurley has been at the forefront of the Lakers search from the beginning of the process, even while the organization has done its due diligence interviewing several other candidates, sources said. This is from Woj. Woj and Shams have reported inside out this story.
Right.
Redick, Borrego, Sam Cassell, all this stuff.
Right.
Now I'm supposed to believe after the fact that Dan Hurley has always been there and none of their sources whispered Dan Hurley's name to them in the last 3 weeks?
No, and also Jason Kidd got a contract extension. Ty Lue got a contract extension. People have been getting a contract extension maybe off of this job being open. And obviously Jason Kidd's got a team in the finals. And this was the best kept secret in sports.
But
the Bronny thing...
That's crazy.
It's crazy. That's the part of this that just makes so much sense.
Well,
I don't know what they were using JJ Redick for, though. Like, if JJ Redick do you think he was seriously being considered, or was he just throw everyone off the scent?
Or was it taking time to break Hurley down, and they thought that Redick was their best option because Hurley wasn't
he didn't want to leave.
Initially receptive to the job?
Let me ask you a question, though. There were how many openings this offseason? 5? I know, like Charlotte and where. Wouldn't all of them
Phoenix.
have killed to get Dan Hurley? Or am I missing something?
Well,
I know
my guess
the
is they
transition
didn't
thing,
think they could get him. They probably weren't even considering it.
Yeah,
the Hornets probably don't want to pay the coach what Dan Hurley's going to get from the Lakers.
Yeah, will he be the highest paid coach too? I would.
I don't know. The
think
Lakers
so.
kind of famously don't pay their coaches a lot.
Yeah,
but to get Dan Hurley, I assume they're going to have to make him.
Maybe, but like Mike Budenholzer, apparently, I don't think they were really in because it was going to be too expensive. That was one of the things that Brian Windhorst had always said.
Who is the highest paid coach? I have no idea.
Probably Popovich.
And I think it's Popovich, and it's a lot.
Ty Lue's getting up there now too with his new extension.
No, it's probably Monty Williams. He signed that crazy contract with the Pistons.
Yeah, but then I thought for some reason Pop got like more per year than Monty has like length and overall value.
I got it for you guys. So Steve Kerr's number 1.
Of course, Steve Kerr.
And this is, I guess this is total contract. This is not per year. I'd have to do some more digging on per year. But Steve Kerr, $35 million with his new contract. Pop, number 2. Spoelstra, 3. Ty Lue was 4. He's probably right up there. He's probably now 2 or 1 with Steve Kerr, Monty Williams, 5, Nick Nurse, and Jason Kidd.
Like what kind of numbers are we talking about? Like per year? Like 15?
Yeah, Spoelstra just signed that huge contract too.
So Danny Hurley, I see, is 6 years, $32 million at UConn. Geez, I'm surprised the NBA hasn't been hunting around. Like, you could beat that easily. Like, James Borrego could beat that.
The list I have in front of me now is Popovich, $16 million. This is for the season. $16 million for Pop, $15 for Spo, $13 for Monty Williams, $9.5 for Kerr, $7.5 for Rick Carlisle.
Well, Steve Kerr's new contract now is $17.5 million a year. So he's number 1.
Okay.
Man.
But I feel like you would have to really pay Hurley to get him out of UConn because there's not a better situation in college sports than Dan. Yeah, he loves UConn, right? It doesn't
here's the thing: both these things could all be true. Dan Hurley could be a very sought after college, basketball coach because of the back-to-back wins at UConn. It could also be because this makes sense for Bronny. Like they both, I guess, could be true. I'm wondering what pushed it over the edge, right? Because as LeBron, besides like Mike Krzyzewski, who Kobe wanted to coach the Lakers.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people wanted Krzyzewski through the years, for sure. A lot of people wanted Izzo, too. Izzo got many offers.
Izzo almost took that Cleveland Cavaliers job, right? But ended up not taking it, I believe. Because Dan Gilbert's like a massive Michigan State booster and then also owns the Cavs. Or does he almost take the Pistons job, too?
I agree with what Bogusch said. I'll bet you a lot of teams didn't even know there was a possibility to get Danny Hurley. Like, I feel like
Who do you think called who?
I think the Lakers called him, right? He definitely did call.
He definitely. I don't think he went out to Rob Pelinka and Jeannie Buss. Hey, I would like to coach you guys.
Well, your agent, you had to float
yes.
it. But
no,
here,
maybe. I mean, look, maybe because he's won 2 national titles.
What more do you do, right?
Yeah. What's left?
Right. Is that the if he takes this job, then at some point there's another story about another guy bailing on college,
right,
to get away from
NIL.
that's part of the thing.
It's a big task being a college coach compared to an NBA coach. If you look at the whole picture,
I know, but
do recruiting.
I get that, but Pete, and this is this is maybe a narrow view. We put out a poll maybe a week and a half ago. Is coaching LeBron James the worst job in sports? And I believe it was like 98-2. People said yes. Coaching LeBron is also not easy. And the Bronny part of this, again, we're talking about Dan Hurley has now emerged as the, I don't know if you can say front runner, but he's now emerged as a candidate for the Laker job. And part of this is because apparently LeBron is impressed with him and has tweeted about Dan Hurley and all of that, but also because there's a thought he would help Bronny's development. They're saying also now the other young players on the league. Also Rui Hachimura. It's like, I don't know if it's so much about Rui.
I got two things for you guys.
Yeah.
One, what happens the first time that Dan Hurley
screams at LeBron? Because he can't help himself.
No.
Dan Hurley can't help
psychopath.
himself. I don't think he can control that.
And he just signed up for, 60 more games a year? He played probably 38 games at college, and now he's going to go 82 regular season plus, theoretically, multiple playoff rounds of him being a maniac.
Dan Hurley's
Anthony
not
Davis
screaming at LeBron. He can hold it back a little bit.
No,
Nobody's screaming at LeBron James.
I don't think he can.
When LeBron decides in a 13-point game to jog back on defense, when he doesn't want to get a highlight reel chase down block.
Dan Hurley's a realist. He's not yelling at LeBron.
I think he is, absolutely.
When
When LeBron settles for his stare at the palm, step back three, and bricks it, and it's a 10-0 run, and then it turns into a 13-0 run.
First of all, there's so many people to yell at on that team before LeBron. You got D'Angelo Russell. He's not going to have a voice left.
Of course,
D'Angelo Russell is on that team. How are you going to yell at LeBron?
He's going to wear D'Angelo Russell out, but then there's going to be times where he gets frustrated with LeBron, and Dan Hurley doesn't care. He's not going to hold back. The second thing, I got a conspiracy theory here.
Okay. Lay it on us.
What if they're using Dan Hurley as a pawn? Because what if on the low, J.J. Redick's demanding too much money? And now they're going to say, all right.
Oh, we'll bring in a little competition for you.
Because I don't think Shams...
Is J.J. Redick in a position to demand anything?
Well, I don't know, but I don't think Shams was... both of these guys, Woj and Shams, have endless sources. They're obviously tapped into everybody. So when Shams says yesterday... They're zeroing in on J.J. Redick to become the next head coach. And then Woj says today they're targeting Dan Hurley to be the next head coach. Is this something about, the negotiations with them and J.J. Redick about money not working out?
Woj is saying that Dan Hurley was in this from the beginning, which sounds ridiculous.
I just don't get how we haven't heard, like you said, how have we not gotten a whiff of Dan Hurley before today?
Yeah, I don't think Dan Hurley's side would let them be used by the Lakers against anybody. I think they would be too smart.
Unless they're also using the Lakers to try to get more money from UConn.
Bang.
And it's everyone's using each other.
That's worthy of a triple bang right
triple green bang. Can he bang a contract negotiation?
Here's a line from Dan Hurley when he turned down Kentucky. By the time I got a chance to talk to my agent, there was no way I would leave the best program in the country to go to another program. So he was like, he got his raise. I mean, the governor had to approve it, and he got his raise because of Kentucky.
Oh, so why do so?
Yeah,
no
I don't
need
know.
For a double bang.
But was it really the best program? I don't know. Is he gonna? What? He's Mr. UConn. He's saying so many things about how I love this place.
And he could probably go back if the Lakers thing fails, and he could probably go back to UConn if he wanted to, and I'm sure they'd welcome him back with open arms.
It just feels like it's weird to me that he would do this because Coach K didn't do it because it kind of sucks. Why would you leave Duke or UConn to go to the Lakers where you're going to have some problems?
Yeah, Coach K didn't have to deal with NIL and rosters changing over, but, he eventually did have to deal with the one and dones, so...
Well, I mean, that's the thing about Dan Hurley, too. He is kind of mastered this because his roster turned over a little bit and he won again.
Mm-hmm.
But I like what Pat said. He's won 2 titles at UConn. Is there anywhere to go up from here? I kind of understand that part. He could take his legacy a whole new place if he wins with LeBron, which he will not do.
And speaking of Coach K, I mean, we're led to believe that he's been part of this Laker consulting group on this, which people thought was how we were getting J.J. Redick in the building in the first place. So now is Coach K telling the Lakers that JJ shouldn't get this job, and that's how they pivoted to Dan Hurley?
Oh, and I don't know. Remember when I thought Coach K was going to be the next coach of the Lakers? I was wrong on that one. Listen, miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
That actually, if Dan Hurley gets a job, then you're partially right. I'm going to give you partial credit for that.
Thank you.
Kind of the same thing.
How about this? You guys getting breaking Lakers news at 7 a.m. Eastern time.
Mm-hmm.
That means that Woj thought that Shams or somebody else was going to break it. And he's obviously, as I said, this is a long, long story. He's obviously had this written for a long... And Woj, by the way, not the greatest writer in the world. He's an amazing reporter. This is a well-written, thought-out think piece on J.J. Redick. This has been sitting in the queue.
This has been massaged.
This has been edited to the T, and I don't know, how long has he known this? Why? Can you picture Woj sitting there with this story on his laptop when Sham says zeroing in on JJ Redick, to me that's the best part of this whole
Honestly,
story.
when they eventually make the Shams versus Woj
Right,
documentary,
it's already been greenlit, right?
Yeah, like the screenplay about Sham versus Woj, this Lakers head coach thing is going to be a major pivot point. But anyway, so that's the new story this morning. Dan Hurley now targeting. Yeah, they're targeting Dan Hurley. They're prepared to offer him a massive contract. And the Bronny part of this, and LeBron thinking that Dan Hurley will develop Bronny James. Well, he's the head coach of the freaking Lakers. Like, how is Bronny the priority when you're the head coach of the Lakers? I would love to hear from Laker fans about this. Is this too much with Bronny? Is it too much if this is true and you're creating the perfect scenario for Bronny James to flourish and thrive? Meanwhile, you've been a Laker fan going back to the Showtime era or whatever, and you're trying to get another title, not Bronny, becoming a double-figure scorer or whatever.
Just blows my mind. So think about the options, like the list of things that we could have been dealt with breaking news LA time at 4 a.m. Like James Harden, something to do with a strip club and an arrest. That's at the top of the list, not the Lakers are preparing to offer Dan Hurley the head coaching job.
Lakers fans thought they were getting JJ Redick 24 hours ago. They're holding a parade if Dan Hurley takes his job, right?
You might be right about that.
This is such a salvaging a victory out of almost certain defeat. That's an incredible upgrade.
You think that they're going to be like,
Lakers
Genie
fans,
Bus, Rob Pelinka, thank you, because we actually get a legit coach.
This will be the biggest victory in since they got LeBron, right? I mean, this will be viewed very positively, I would think. Because they don't like to pay coaches.
They don't.
Yeah.
It's like you get the honor of being the LA Lakers head coach. That's payment enough.
Yeah, like
the Yankees do this too.
They didn't back up a Brinks truck for Darvin Ham, as I recall.
No, I don't think he was up there with Kerr and Spolstra. 855-212.
Darvin Ham literally got a ham sandwich. The irony.
And you'll like it.
And a ceremonial kick out the door. 855-212-4227. After winning the in-season tournament, too. How dare they? 855-212-4227. So there you go. There's your news. Dan Hurley. Now Dan Hurley could be the next head coach of the Lakers. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Do you love that JJ Redick might be getting a little
comeuppance?
Yeah, Nelson from The Simpsons?
No.
A little point left at JJ Redick.
Do that with your chest, Maggie. You're holding back on that.
I can. I'm not the voice person around here. 855-212-4227. Let us know what you think about this.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff, wild morning. Unexpected report. ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski reports the Los Angeles Lakers are targeting, that's the word, targeting UConn coach Dan Hurley. Listen, when I was a single man, I was targeting dating Scarlett Johansson. That did not happen. But when Woj says targeting, it means something completely different. Kind of means, usually it means the deal is done. So it looks like there's a great chance Dan Hurley will be hired by the Lakers, meaning that JJ Redick will not be hired by the Lakers.
There's definitely a bit of a, I don't want to say point and laugh at Redick, but, you know, Redick is kind of...
He comes off as a dookie, like he knows a lot about the world.
Well,
no kidding.
It kind of comes across just as the smartest man in the room. He's got everything figured out. Can we hear a little of JJ before we dive more into Dan Hurley and the pros and cons of this and what it means for the Lakers? So here was JJ Redick yesterday. He was talking with our pals, Mike Golick Jr. We love those guys. And they asked him about the Laker job, and here's what he said about it.
My focus right now is on calling the NBA Finals. I am so fortunate that I'm in this position and I get to call these finals. My day-to-day right now is consumed with calling games, the 19 different podcasts I feel like I have. So my focus is on the NBA Finals. I will say that. In terms of Shams, that will be addressed once the season is over. So I'll just say that.
Wow, you know what? That could mean that it's not happening. You could easily read that, be like, that will be addressed, meaning that I'm not a candidate. I mean, maybe. I mean, he must know at this point.
He left the cliffhanger there. That was definitely a wait and see, everybody. As for Shams, that will be addressed at the, that was him. In my interpretation, was him feeling like he's got this in the bag, but I need to focus on my job right now, which is calling the finals.
Okay.
If he knows he's not getting the job, don't you answer that question a lot differently?
Well, let me ask you this. Put in your mind that J.J. Redick was told the other day he's not getting it.
Right.
So, and then this is the interview. Picture, he already knows he's not getting it. Would this answer make sense?
My focus right now is on calling the NBA Finals. I am so fortunate that I'm in this position and I get to call these finals. My day-to-day right now is consumed with calling games, the 19 different podcasts I feel like I have. So my focus is on the NBA Finals. I will say that. In terms of Shams, that will be addressed once the season is over. So I'll just say that.
I think that he was trying to give you a little cliffhanger teaser. He's laughing. It's like, this feels like, hey guys, I got a job to do, but I'll get to the Lakers report in just a moment.
But he can't be that wrong about this. Like, how could he have been wrong?
He might be wrong.
He thinks he had the job, but according to Woj, the Lakers have been targeting Dan Hurley since the beginning of this process. Like, the two things don't make any sense. I think, and also he said, I'm fortunate to have this job. I think at
that's
this point,
what you say when you're about to leave a job for another job.
So this is a couple of options here. One, that the Lakers really are playing the two against each other.
Yep.
Hurley two,
and JJ
that they're
Redick.
not going to get Hurley and it is going to be Redick. Or three, I think it's possible he already knows. I don't know when they tape this. He already knows that he's not getting the job. I think that is a possibility.
Well, right now, it looks like the winds are really turning towards Dan Hurley getting the Laker job. To be honest, even if Dan Hurley had said it once or twice, did not think that he was hotly pursuing the NBA. But the Laker job is obviously the creme de la creme. It's a crown jewel franchise in sports, and they are very different than the Charlotte Hornets, very different than Toronto and stuff like that. So, no disrespect to them, but
got it. The best twist would be just if next Wednesday they hire one of those random assistants they're interviewing, and James Borrego or Dave Adelman gets a job. It's like, oh God, I would love. Then I'm full in. If you want to do a 30 for 30 on this month of Lakers hires, I hope there's hey. Let's call Dawn Staley. Let's get it going.
Get her back in there.
Why don't we get her into the conversation? Let's really make this a thing.
Man, so it's funny because it's there's a lot of layers, right? Because here's the thing. No matter what the Lakers want to say or what they want to sell us, or no matter what LeBron James's people want to sell us, that he's not involved in the coaching hire, that is patently crap. It's got to be. It doesn't make any sense that LeBron wouldn't be involved in the coaching hire. And look at all the evidence that we have to the contrary.
Wait, but how do you know this was LeBron's call? Like, I actually know I don't see any specific evidence here. What do you mean?
If there is a thought, and this is part of the article, that Dan Hurley would be good to develop Bronny James.
Yeah, but I mean,
he's not even on the team yet. He's not even he's a fringe college player, let alone a draft pick. Why would Woj ever have that in the article if this is not part of it? That you would never even make that connection. Bronny doesn't play for the Lakers yet.
Everyone knows Bronny's going to Lakers. It's 1,000 words into the article. That's just a little minor detail. Like, they get the...
It's not minor.
Oh, that is definitely minor. I'm sure this has nothing. I honestly don't think it has anything to do with it.
I think it has everything to do with Bronny.
I totally disagree. I think he's the hottest
Pat,
coach.
let's put that on the poll. Is Dan Hurley's if Dan Hurley gets hired by the Lakers, does it have anything to do with Bronny James's development? Yes or no?
Bronny development. He's not even going to be on the court for years. I mean, like, they are the Los Angeles Lakers. They have Anthony Davis and LeBron James. They need to win right now. Like, what do they care about Bronny in the year 2029?
Perloff, if you really care about right now, you are taking that second-round pick they're going to use on Bronny, and you're trying to package it to go get another superstar. If you're really...
Second-round pick for a superstar? What are you talking about?
I'm saying as part of a package. If you use every single asset at your disposal, if you're actually trying to win a title... You're not wasting a pick on Bronny James, who you just said is never going to play.
Well, Bronny, okay. They want Dan Hurley because he's an amazing coach. Like, yeah, maybe it's nice for him to develop Bronny, but that can't really be part of this calculus. If it is, that's crazy because we're talking, that's 5-7 years down the road?
It's crazy that they're drafting Bronny anyway.
No, it's not because they need to keep LeBron.
And now LeBron, who's calling the shots on this coaching hire.
Okay, I think that's a big leap because it does seem like Jeannie Buss and Rob Pelinka, via the article, are already taking a victory tour.
Well, to your point.
And if it was, obviously, if LeBron was calling the shots, JJ would be a very strong candidate.
Well, I think he is a strong candidate. He might have been. Do you think that Jeannie Buss and Rob Pelinka would have come up with Dan Hurley if LeBron's not there?
Yes. Why not?
Well,
it's the Los Angeles Lakers. Of course they would have. Why would they have not come up? I don't
because
understand.
They've never paid coaches, and now they're all of a sudden going to shell out whatever this is going to take, $10 million a year to get Dan Hurley. It's opposite of the way that they have treated this thing. The only coach that really got paid was Phil Jackson. I
just feel like this is, if say LeBron said, I'm leaving, I'm going to Atlanta, I still think the Lakers would be thrilled to get Dan Hurley. Look at their other candidates, James Borrego, JJ Redick,
no, I get
Dave
it.
Adelman. They'd be like, oh my God, you want to come here? Yes.
You're right. This might end up saving them, but I think it was a LeBron-inspired thing.
But you don't think Bronny is the number one reason why they're hiring Dan Hurley? That can't possibly it. They're hiring him because he's the two-time national head.
He's the hottest coach on the planet,
right?
By a hundredfold.
Then why have we never heard about him in any other NBA coaching search? Why does anyone even publicly make him turn it down?
Because when he turned out Kentucky, he was like, I love it here. I love stores, which is weird. I mean, he seemed like Mr. UConn. I don't know. And then, by the way, I don't know how many openings. How do we know that nobody called his agent, too? I'm sure somebody must have poked around.
Okay, but if you are right and he's been the prize of this coaching cycle, then why wouldn't a team put it out there? Hey, you know what we're doing? We're turning over every rock and stone, and we are going even after Dan Hurley. I don't need his permission to leak a story.
Yeah,
nobody has done that.
Honestly, if it's the case, I don't think the Wizards thought they could get Dan Hurley, and they couldn't.
That's fine, but what about the Phoenix Suns?
Yeah, I still don't believe the sentence that I read last segment that he's always been at the forefront of their search. Something changed. Maybe they thought about him 4 weeks ago, but something changed in the last little bit that made this actually possible. That was impossible, which is why the Hornets and the Wizards and whoever else, it never even came up because it just wasn't a thing. Maybe he did have a change of heart in the last 72 hours.
Right, or maybe the money finally
got
there.
He said, bleep it. JJ can't do this job. I'm going to do it.
No, I think the money probably finally came in. And I bet LeBron was a big part of that.
Yeah, I think LeBron could have called him. I think that's definitely a fact.
Definitely. And I do think the Bronny thing, why wouldn't I think that that Dan Hurley is partially a candidate because because LeBron wants him to help develop Bronny James. Why wouldn't I think that's a thing when LeBron's setting all this up for his kid?
Well, Bogusch said it. Do you think it's the number one reason?
I think it's high.
Yeah, it can be.
That's not the disrespect to Dan Hurley. I don't want to disrespect someone who's had so much success on the college level, but
it seems insane to that a coaching hire would be made for the 13th guy on your roster, maybe the 15th guy on your roster.
But it's insane that Bronny's even getting drafted.
Yeah, but
we acknowledge that.
We all know the drill there. I mean, that's not it.
Why would we know the drill here? What's different?
Well, do you think the Lakers would fire Dan Hurley in 3+ seasons because Bronny is a crap player?
Well, and LeBron's going to be gone, and they probably will fire him anyway. Yeah. And maybe he's the next Pat Riley. I don't know.
I don't think Bronny's development is the defining anything about Dan Hurley being the Lakers head coach. It's a nice thing to put in the story and say, hey, he'll do this. And it makes sense that he can develop players, so develop all of the young players. But they're not, if Bronny doesn't pan out, no big deal.
Okay, but here's the thing. We don't even know how the Lakers are going to approach this offseason. Maybe this is a clue. Maybe this is, hey, we want to stay with the surrounding supporting cast we have and try to get them better as opposed to trading for a superstar. But that is also very much on the table.
Well,
so if they end up trading for a Donovan Mitchell or trading for a Trae Young or trading for any of these guys, now Dan Hurley is not walking into a developmental situation. You are walking into a win in this very moment situation. And I think that the Lakers are a win at this moment situation.
But honestly, maybe Donovan Mitchell, but it doesn't feel like they're getting a superstar. They're getting like a flawed jet, like a Trae Young. Is that a superstar?
He's been a perennial all-star.
Well, I mean, they're going to get either a super old guy or a flawed guy like Trae Young. So I'm not sure that they're adding anything that radically different, right? If they could get, honestly, they should have taken DeRozan a couple years ago.
Well, they went for Russell Westbrook.
They're going to get a guy who's 35 or over. I don't see, if they could get Donovan Mitchell, then it's a totally different game. But if Trae Young, I mean, who cares, right? Trae Young is not a superstar. Not in. Okay. There's no way.
All right. Let's see if he gets paid like one. 855-212-4227. Our pal Big Dave. Big Dave, put some sense into everyone here. This is about Bronny, right?
Is that a satire statement? Are you serious?
Why? Do you think it's just that Dan Hurley all of a sudden, is this just the stars aligned?
This is Dan Hurley, the most coveted coaching commodity in the game of basketball since Red Auerbach. And I mean, this is just. ESPN is losing their minds. I mean, and they are no doubt probably you're getting ready to see a contract offer unlike anything you've ever seen in the past. But do y'all really think that Bronny James, that the future of him is relevant in all of this? I mean, to start with, do you realize how many planets have to align before that can even, that they can even get him, in L.A.?
Dave, they're getting him. They're getting him. Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
man,
unless you think
say that. I mean,
but do you really think another team's going to step in front of the Lakers to get him?
Other than the theater of this entire conversation, why do you say that? Why?
Because LeBron put it out there that that he would re-sign with the Lakers with the wink and the nod to the team that they're going to draft Bronny. Dave, if they weren't going to draft Bronny shouldn't be in the draft. He should be in college. If the Lakers don't have this like wink, wink, nudge, nudge, this is what's going to happen. He's not an NBA player.
Wait, but actually, did LeBron actually say this yet?
Those the insiders. He can't come out and say that.
Right. Well, and it's also common sense. Everyone on earth knows that LeBron wants to play with Bronny. I mean, even he said last offseason that I don't care about that, and we're all like, yeah, that's a lie. We just all if he's put out anything, he's put out the opposite, saying that it's not about me and Bronny, but we all know it's about him and Bronny.
Yeah, but LeBron says all kinds of things from what he said about Kyrie.
Well, the Kyrie stuff is. First of all, I do think that LeBron actually did want the Lakers to go after Kyrie when the whole Brooklyn thing was devolving, but I think Kyrie was too toxic at the time.
That would have been smart, actually, but yeah.
No, I think LeBron did want him
nailed
there.
That one.
But here's the thing, Dave. Do you think Dan Hurley's going to be a good coach for the Lakers?
Listen, I don't know. Here's the thing. The Lakers don't have a bunch of cap space, and you can say whatever you want to. I mean, I was going to ask McLovin, actually. Good morning, McLovin. We haven't talked in a while.
What's up?
Let me ask you guys questions seriously. In today's NBA, it's obviously player-driven. How much of an impact does the head coach actually have? I'm not talking about, like, building the team. Now, I'm not talking about choosing personnel. Right. I'm talking about on the sidelines when the ball goes in the air. How much of an impact does the head coach actually have on success and failure?
So,
I'll hang it for the list and love you guys.
I know it's just like
great
this.
to talk to you, pal.
When you have a basketball team with a 40-year-old LeBron James, the head coach of that team will have about as much influence on the Lakers' success as Andrew Bogusch will. Like, he's a 40-year-old LeBron. You don't even need a coach. That's why you could have rolled out J.J. Redick out of the booth. Now, Dan Hurley's a different thing, though, because that guy runs plays and things. Like, J.J. would have just done like, he was doing some things in the tournament where everyone's like, whoa, what's going on here? Why is UConn actually seem to have some order on offense when the rest of everyone else is jacking up threes? So, no, I don't think you need a coach. You have LeBron. But generally, I do think, ironically, Dan Hurley will have an impact. That's why I said this the other day. I'm like, J.J. Redick, James Rager, who cares? LeBron James is 40 years old and is your lead player. You're fine.
This is different, though. I mean, Dan Hurley is not going to take this job to just roll the balls out at practice.
I know. That's a weird thing about him. It's funny. Dave's calling from Kentucky. I think Kentucky fans were a little shocked that they couldn't pry Dan Hurley away from UConn because that's Kentucky. So I think that's where Dave's coming from. Like, wow, if that guy won't go to Kentucky, that it's interesting to me that he'll take the Lakers because there's a lot of pressure. Let's talk about, his life from now on. If he loses there, that's not good.
Well, let's talk about that. Yeah. Bogusch, do you mind sticking around? We didn't get a chance to do headlines. Let's do it in the next segment if that's cool.
What if I said no?
Well, it's your right.
I'm the Lakers head coach apparently, so leave me alone.
But now Bogusch also going to put his hat in the ring for the UConn job.
Ooh, I didn't think of that. Yeah, smart.
Could be open. 855-212-4227. All right, so this is the breaking news this morning is that the Lakers may have pivoted away from J.J. Redick and some other assistant coaches in the NBA to target Dan Hurley, the back-to-back champion from UConn, to be their next head coach. We're unpacking more of it next.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Thinks he's an Aussie, but you can never tell. Tries to talk like he's from down under, but his accent's a blunder. Oh, what a wonder. Andrew made you belong at the Outback, not living in the bush, serving up a snack. Your G-Day sounds more like G-Night at the Outback Steakhouse. You'd be just right. Crikey, he says, but it sounds all wrong. Mixes kangaroos with a New York song. Crocodile Dundee would have a laugh if he heard our Andrew with a strange mishmash. Andrew made you belong at the Outback, no living in the bush, serving up a snack. Look, your G-Day sounds more like G-Night at the Outback Steakhouse.
Andrew Perloff's got a tale to tell. Thinks he's an Aussie, but you can never tell. Tries to talk like he's from down under, but his accent's thunder. Oh, what a wonder. Andrew makes you belong at the Outback, not living in the bush, but serving up a snack. Your G-Day sounds more like G-Night at the Outback Steakhouse. You'd be just right. Crikey says, but it sounds all wrong. Mixes kangaroos with a New York song. Crocodile Dundee would have a laugh if he heard our Andrew with his
Living life in 20-second views, scrolling through, he's got no time to lose. Maggie and Perloff, Daly's keeping score, YouTube's his love. He's begging for more, double tap, clicking on that video. From sunrise to sunset, he never lets it go. Maggie snappy, Perloff's got a glow. Daly's hooked, he's looking for the show. Chasing trends, Daly's on a quest. Comments pouring in, he's one of the best. From every corner of the internet's reach. Daly's voice. Ready to preach. Living life in 20-second views, scrolling through, he's got no time to lose. Maggie and Perloff, Daly's keeping score, YouTube's his love. He's begging for more, double tap, clicking on that video. From sunrise to sunset, he Andrew Bogusch, lost in the fog of golf. Bogusch can't see his way. People hide his voice in his ears every day. Tom Brady's glory, it's all too much. Andrew Bogusch needs a break. Bogusch has had enough of Pete. Freedom from Bilotti, that's what Bogusch needs. People he won't leave alone. His voice keeps ringing in his headphones like a drone. Oh, get out of Bogusch's head. People can't you see? Bogusch trying to be free in the sea of noise. Let Bogusch find his peace. Oh, get out of Bogusch's head. Peter Bilotti, he made a prediction, said that he gonna win. Celtics got no conviction, but now he's hiding, running away, won't own up to his words, can't face the dismay. He thought Miami would rise like the sun in the sky, but now he's got excuses, got no alibi. He thought the Heat had it, it was a sure bet, but they couldn't handle Boston, not just yet. Peter Bilotti, where you at now? You made a bold choice, but where's your wow? Can't stand the heat and
Big news this morning if you're just getting your day going or just winding it down. Danny Hurley, the coach of UConn, back-to-back national titles, has emerged as the man being targeted, and that's the term, targeted by the Los Angeles Lakers to be their next head coach. Major shakeup. Thought that JJ Redick had that job in the bag, Pearl, but apparently not. This story's really taken over the show, so we have to move our headlines from last segment to this segment. Andrew Bogusch, kind enough to stick around. Thank you, sir.
Maggie, we've been wondering, has Dan Hurley ever discussed coaching in the NBA before, since this possible job has taken most of us off guard at the moment? And in the very recent past, he has on something called The Dan Patrick Show.
Maybe down the road, if I could grow up a little bit, mature a little bit with the emotions, maybe the NBA. Down the road.
Down. That was April 17th. Down the road.
This year
is June 6th.
This is like Kyrie's maturation process.
Yeah.
It's fast forward.
Was that you sure that's not 2016?
No, because it said the graphic says Dan Hurley, 23 and 24 NCAA champion head coach. So it is very recent.
I guess down the road is 3 months.
Yeah, not even. But why even leave college at all?
The college game has changed. You win a national championship, and obviously we're going to do things, go to the White House, do these. We had the parade, you do these things, but you're basically right into free agency frenzy.
Guys went back to school, guys transferred to UConn. If he does become the Lakers head coach, all of those guys, I believe, have then the opportunity to go back into the transfer portal, but some of them made significant decisions to be coached by Dan Hurley, because on April 17th, they heard him say he's down the road, maybe an NBA coach. And here we are on June 6th, and maybe he's the Laker head coach.
He's a legend at UConn, so no one's going to care because of the back-to-back titles, but you're screwing your team because it's way late in the process. Yeah. You'll just elevate an assistant coach at this point.
I mean, and the thing is, they got to be, are they number one for next year? Or they got to be up there. I know Duke has this crazy class coming in, but obviously he could go three-peat if he stayed. I guess that doesn't matter to him.
I'm trying to get the names for you. They have two highly regarded assistants that have interviewed for other jobs. So they have in-house people who probably also recruited some of these guys.
Sure.
So that would be okay, but they're not Dan Hurley, as far as we know.
It's funny that Dan Hurley, even in April on the Dan Patrick Show, would acknowledge, I've got some growing up to do, because we're just talking about what's the most important, and Big Dave in Kentucky was asking, what's the most important aspect of being an NBA head coach? It's not X's and O's, it's managing egos and meshing with superstars. And that's going to be a learning curve here. But I don't think Danny Hurley can turn it off. He's intense, and I know a lot of coaches are intense, but he wears on his sleeve.
But I just really wonder about this job, because LeBron, how many years does he have left? What is this team when LeBron leaves in a year or two?
Well, that's probably part of the appeal of Hurley, is if you do have to start over and it is a younger team, that he could be also an asset there to develop talent.
I totally understand the appeal of Hurley. What's the appeal of the Lakers?
Anthony Davis?
Well, it's just you are in a brutal Western Conference. If you don't win this year with LeBron, you're stuck with a medium team. Can you imagine that team without LeBron right now? D'Angelo Russell throwing alley-oops to Anthony Davis? I mean, he better be a good coach, because that's not a playoff team.
He better make Bronny into Bron.
Bronny's not going to. I know many things about Bronny's not going to be a rotational player
ever, maybe.
And he's scoring 4 points a game at USC, who is a below 500 college team. He's not in the mix here as a player.
But is he going to be drafted by them?
Yes, in the second round. Yeah, but I mean, you're not going to know the name of another second-round pick. They're not important.
I get it, but this is, I think, LeBron giving Bronny every chance to succeed on the NBA level. Not with a assistant coach who might not care, or a former assistant who might not care about him, but with a college coach who's coming in with the marching orders, develop him like he's still in college while he's in the NBA.
Well, that's great, but I mean, the reality is that LeBron's going to be gone in a year, and then they're going to cut Bronny. He's going to end up the 14th man on the Charlotte Hornets, and then out of the NBA. This is not ever. There is no situation when Dan Hurley is coaching Bronny James in a playoff game, and he's actually out of the court.
I'm not telling you it's going to work. I'm telling you why the motivation behind it. It would have never made it into that ESPN story, which it did, if this was not even a shred of a thought. Because Bronny doesn't even freaking play for the Lakers yet, and it's in the story about what coach they're going to hire that he can help develop Bronny. I'm not the crazy one here, guys.
Jeannie Buss and Pelinka were a lot higher in that story. They seem to be wanting credit for this.
Of course they're
But
going to
there's
want
no
credit.
of course, because what is Woj
They would want credit for J.J. Redick. They're going to want credit for anything.
I don't know. No. I don't think Pelinka wants anything to do with the J.J.
Well,
Redick. He's putting that one on LeBron.
Maybe Pelinka. Listen, Pelinka,
Have you heard Pelinka
whatever.
mention J.J. Redick once? No.
No, but I also, listen, the Lakers did interview him, so obviously. I just think LeBron is doing this coaching search. I think the Lakers were willing to say, LeBron, whoever you want. So.
Nah, I actually don't think that's the case. I think that they'll draft Bronny for LeBron, sure, but I don't think that they're handing over the ring. I think Dan Hurley is, but the list of candidates they have, if they could get Dan Hurley, oh my God.
They may have saved themselves here. No, it may be fortuitous that all of a sudden Dan Hurley became available.
Honestly, we keep arguing about it. I think Bogusch was closer to right. I think it's like nobody thought they could get Dan Hurley out of UConn, and the Lakers, bless them, thought of it.
You or somebody connected dots. It's like, hey, guys, Dan, we actually do this. And like, oh, really? Okay, we'll call him.
But he was on the DP show, and he said that it's down the road. Well, we are the Lakers.
Yeah. Things move faster around here. Again, did not get to the headlines. This story is just massive. And you're welcome to weigh in on it. 855-212-4227. Dan Hurley could be the next head coach of the Lakers. You love it? You hate it? Is it going to work? It's Maggie Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Let's make our escape. Come on, let's go there. Let's us down and stay. Can you Philly going down to yellow and brown? That's what's in. Padres on the loose. Let's go, Goose. That's what's in. Bryce gonna lose.
Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining.
road trip blues left behind, feeling like he's bound to lose. Bogusch and Smoosh talking about the game. Glorious days, he's on the chat, tuning in where it's at. Infinity Sports Radio, playing all morning, dancing to the beat, feeling so right. It takes our life, the speakers blast. Moist pork so delicious, fashion icon, always ambitious, rocking the threads, fresh and clean, styling on the scene, living the dream. Loves Twitch, not YouTube. Always dancing, never in the mood. Live streaming with 1 million views, sipping on success and paying his dues. Loves Baltimore, city of his heart, representing, playing his part, but hates back callers, ain't no doubt. Gotta stay fly, that's what it's about.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Wild morning. Welcome to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. The breaking news this morning is the LA Lakers appear to be doing a pivot, a very big one, with their coaching search. Thought it was going to be J.J. Redick. We had heard they were zeroing in on J.J. Redick, Perloff, but that may not be true. UConn's Dan Hurley, the back-to-back champion in college, is now the coach the Lakers are targeting, air quotes, to become their next head coach. This is all according to ESPN.
It's amazing, too. It's one of those stories where, like, oh, of course they're going after Dan Hurley. Like, I should have thought of that a month ago, because we were so underwhelmed by their list of candidates.
Right.
I mean, actually, James Borrego seems like a well-thought-of assistant and former coach. But generally, though, we're like, oh, this is J.J. Redick. They're going to pull this guy out of the booth. This is going to be a disaster. It was almost becoming a bit of a punchline. And now, it's funny, I never once thought of this. And I don't think someone out there, I guess there have been a couple hints that maybe he said something on the Adam Shine show. Or
about down the road wanting to explore the NBA, not today.
Yeah, but it does make sense, like him as an NBA candidate, because he was obviously a big candidate in college. Like Kentucky tried to pry him away from UConn. He's very, very well thought of. I mean, there's not a hotter coach, NBA or college. He's pretty much the hottest coach in basketball, right? I mean, who else is even close right now?
Yeah, but to be honest, once he didn't take the Kentucky job, I kind of put it out of my mind.
Me too, exactly.
I wasn't really thinking about Dan Hurley, to be fair, and now looks like this could happen, and he could be the next head coach of the Lakers. Now, here's a question. We can get to the J.J. Redick side of this, and how is this going to be embarrassing for him now that he's going to be in our living rooms for the next 2.5 weeks calling the NBA Finals. But let's talk about Dan Hurley and whether or not this could work. So the big thing about Hurley, great coach, obviously. Great coach. Father's a Hall of Fame coach. Brother's a coach. Like, we know that. He's got the pedigree. It's not about that. It's just about some guys are suited for the NBA and some guys are more suited for college. And one of the things that Dan Hurley's even admitted is, he's intense. And I'm not saying that Mike Budenholzer isn't intense or Frank Vogel isn't intense, but sometimes these guys have a way of not showing up stars, not getting in their faces, and not making it like demonstrative, at least in front of the camera. I don't think Dan Hurley can turn this off. Like, I don't think this is so innate in him, how intense he is. I don't know if it's possible that he can turn it off. Now, to be fair to Hurley, Pearl, he talked a lot, especially in the run-up to last year's championship, about how much he's changed, right? He talked about therapy, and he talked about trying to become a better person and all of the things. And that's going to be tested now, because you could say, all right, his relationship with LeBron James is going to be one thing if he gets this job. Anthony Davis is going to be another. D'Angelo Russell is going to be another. Austin Reeves is going to be, it's down the list. It's down the line.
Well, yeah, but I mean, Coach K was at one point a major candidate for the Lakers. Don't you think Coach K is totally a tough guy at Duke? He he obviously, no one thought that he was going to be the same Coach K and the Lakers with Kobe Bryant. Like, I think Coach K was a different Olympic coach than he was a college coach. So I think that even like the toughest college coaches out of the Bobby Knight school, obviously, even Bobby Knight, he was a way different Olympic coach than he was an Indiana coach. So the coaches adjust. I mean, he's a perfect example. Bob Knight praising Michael Jordan was way different than anything he ever said about the Hoosiers.
Okay, that's fair, but Olympic coach is a little like a substitute teacher. That's somebody who you get for like a month who's going to come in and, by the way, maybe not, Bobby Knight, but definitely like the Dream Team, or even after that, the Redeem Team. What did Coach K coach? Like the competition, like you had a major leg up. This isn't night in, night out, a back-to-back Milwaukee and then Indiana in the middle of February. It's a very different situation.
So you're saying, well, that's interesting. So you're saying losing would bring out the monster in Danny Hurley.
Winning, losing, what's the difference? You can't tell with Danny Hurley on the sideline whether his team's up by 20 or down by 20. So I just wonder about the meshing here. And I know we are going to disagree about this probably until the end of time. I think that Bronny is a big part of this. It's in the article that they, along with all the other attributes that they like about Dan Hurley and the offense that he runs and all that stuff, they like the fact it's appealing that he could help develop Bronny James, who the Lakers are likely to be drafting in the upcoming draft. And I think LeBron has a very heavy hand in all of this. And you can argue whether he's earned it or not, but he has a very heavy hand. And I think Bronny is being set up for however he can help Bronny. He's getting him into the freaking league, for goodness sakes. Mm-hmm. However he can help him, I think he will. And I think a college coach like Dan Hurley is appealing on that level.
Okay, I think we're arguing about degrees. Okay. See, I think it's part of the stew. I think you think it's one of the main ingredients of the stew. And I
think it's the boar's meat.
I just think if that's the case, that's just unbelievably silly that you're hiring a coach based on a guy at the end of your bench. Because I'm sorry,
not just any guy.
This is totally just a cute little story where there's going to be like a neat, like Bronny throwing an alley-oop to LeBron, and that's the extent of it. There's no actual basketball here, right?
No, I think LeBron is hoping that Bronny develops into probably a rotation player. I don't know if he's ever going to be a star, but has a career.
But not when him and Danny Hurley, like, I don't know, if that's LeBron, actually, I actually believe that the Lakers front office is not letting LeBron make this choice. I think they're tired of hearing LeBron runs a team.
But they would consult him when they fire a head coach. So why wouldn't they consult him when they hire a head coach?
No, but everybody let that story get out that it was Anthony Davis's decision to get Darvin Ham. Sure. Well, I mean, that was a public story. I just think that they are a little tired of this idea that LeBron is running the show.
Here's a question. Could Bronny James even play at UConn?
Well, regardless, that's what I'm saying. Like this, Bronny's just a little sideshow here. Can't possibly be the driving force in the hiring for the Los Angeles Lakers. Nobody in the history of the sport has ever hired a coach to mentor a second-round pick.
This is not your average second-round pick.
I'm saying that never. It has never been a thing.
I think this is a part of it. Again, we're going to disagree till the end of time on this one. And then there's the other kind of side of this story, whether you think this is going to work. So, Pat, maybe we could put that as a poll question. If Danny Hurley gets the Lakers job, is he going to coach him to a title? Like, is this going to work? Is he going to be a good NBA coach? Because you do have the Billy Donovans and you do have the Brad Stevens. And I'm not saying this never works when a guy goes from college to the pros, but none of those guys I mentioned have won a title. And John Calipari went to the Nets and didn't really work out, and then he just went back to college. For Hurley, the risk is not huge here. You go to the Lakers, get a massive payday, whatever happens, happens, and then you're welcomed with open arms back to college if you want to. Just like Billy Donovan would have, and just like John Calipari was welcome back.
Oh, I don't know. Billy Donovan definitely, like, his stock has gone up and down a lot. I mean, it's not the same. I disagree with that a little bit. Like, if Danny Hurley fails as a Lakers coach, that's a high-profile failure. That's not good for Danny Hurley's bio. No.
Okay, but you're telling me a college program wouldn't welcome him back?
No,
he
could definitely get employed, but I feel like he's going from top of the world to a failed Lakers coach. Yeah, that's a huge blow to his legacy.
Oh, I don't think that matters at all. At all, because listen, you have the back-to-back titles, so you're always going to be a legend in college, and then you'd be welcomed back with open arms. Fred Hoiberg was welcomed back with open arms.
Yeah, but I mean, like, Billy Donovan went from one of the great coaches to kind of like just an average coach.
But that's because he's choosing to stay in the NBA.
Right, but if he went back to college, like who knows if he'd win again? I don't know. I'm not sure it helped. PJ Carlesimo definitely hurt his legacy big time. Like all these guys who failed in the NBA lost a lot of steam on their ranking of all-time coaches.
Well, maybe, but if Billy Donovan, sorry, Pat, if Billy Donovan had decided after Oklahoma City, I'm going to go back to college, not take the Chicago Bulls job, he would have gotten a huge contract.
Yeah, he definitely. I'm just saying legacy-wise, like, yeah, but he might not have won. Like, who knows? He might have got a huge contract, but he wouldn't be viewed the same. Like, he was like the man back in the day.
I think less than losing. I think PJ Carlesimo getting choked by Latrell Sprewell probably hurt his legacy.
It's definitely something people remember about him. And
Patino,
by the way, Dan
yeah.
Hurley played for PJ Carlesimo when he was at Seton Hall, yes?
Petito's genius label was taken away because of the NBA.
Yeah.
Like, he was considered
Did not
like
work for Petito.
his like 40 minutes of hell, his version of 40 minutes of hell. Like, that doesn't work in the NBA. Like, so I do think, like, yeah, it's a huge blow to him if he fails. And the other problem is he's going to the Lakers in the Western Conference, which is the Thunderdome. I mean, geez Louise, like, you have Denver, Minnesota, Dallas sitting there. Like, it's going to be hard to get out of that West. I don't know.
This is not the Big East. And the Big East is a good basketball conference, but this is going to be much different.
Well, that's the other thing. How much time does Jeannie Buss and Rob Pelinka give him to most likely move from the LeBron AD era to the next era, which would hopefully be a younger, energized Laker team that he can kind of mold himself?
Well, here's the thing. Short term, there's problems because of the competition. Long term, there's problems because LeBron will be gone, and I don't know if they have the draft capital to get a new star. Like, they are the Lakers. They get free agents. So maybe that's how they would do it. But the future is certainly uncertain. You will admit that. It's not Minnesota with Anthony Edwards. It's like, okay, who's going to be here in 4 years?
Yeah, well, considering they haven't had a coach last longer than 3 seasons since Phil Jackson came back the second time, the Lakers have basically been a revolving door of Mike D'Antoni, Byron Scott, Luke Walton, Frank Vogel, Darvin Ham, and now probably Dan Hurley. So the answer is he's probably not going to get a lot of time because nobody else has.
Well, I mean, he's a college coach. They think big picture. Maybe they say, listen, we're going to really give you 10 years. We'll give you the John Gruden deal. Like, this is your team. Build it how you want it. Because otherwise, like, he's not an idiot. He's not going to leave UConn to fail. Like, he's got to think I can succeed, right?
Or he just wants to either test himself, maybe feels like mission accomplished in college, want to see what the waters are like. And I feel like because, again, I think LeBron wants this. I think they probably paid him a ton.
Are you saying it's a Pete Carroll situation where trouble is coming on the horizon? He's like, get out of here?
About NCAA violations? No, nothing like that. Those don't exist anymore.
But maybe it's like, I've won 2 titles here. Like, this is like, what else can I do?
He can only go, I'd say only go down, but it's
going to be hard to keep that level up at college.
I get it. You want to test yourself on the pro level. Like, why not? And this job certainly has its appeal.
Yeah, it is the Lakers.
And think about the motivation. Like you just said, what else is there to really do at UConn?
Also, men's college basketball right now, if you're asking what's growing and what's sort of stagnant, I know that the tournament will always be the tournament, but men's college basketball is kind of a 1-month sport right now.
Yeah, no doubt.
And it's not like that when you're in it, for sure. But for the rest of the world, we sort of turn our attention when it's like, conference tournaments and then on to the tournament. So
the NBA is kind of a no-month sport right now. But that's unless the Lakers win, then it'll become a 3-month sport again.
And I know his wife Andrea, right? Said that they loved Storrs, Connecticut.
Yeah.
No offense. I don't know how you can love Storrs, Connecticut.
It's out there. It's in the middle of nowhere.
LA, who wouldn't want to live in LA?
Okay,
East Coasters don't want to live in LA. A lot of
if I was getting paid millions, like if money wasn't a problem, I would live in LA.
Who was the guy recently who said they didn't want to go to LA because their family was out east? Was it I think Hurley has talked about wanting to stay on the East Coast because all of a sudden he's now near his family. He didn't want to go to Kentucky because his relatives were on the East Coast.
Yes, and we realize now that might all be BS.
Yeah, it could be. That's a good point.
Listen, you go where the job is. It's not you're not moving to Portugal or Philippines. It's LA. Like it's not that you don't. Yeah, you're uprooting your life, but so what? You take the opportunity.
I've been offered jobs in LA, and I said no, thank you.
Coaching the Lakers.
Yes.
After Mike D'Antoni, they tapped you.
I got to tell you, there's a high-profile show in our industry, Good Morning Football, and that's not an easy choice. I'm telling you, a lot of people don't want to go across the pond across the country and be away from their older parents. Like, that's a thing. That's a real
turning
thing.
down the L.A. job. How about that?
I know. Breaking news here.
I've thought about it before. Like, there's no way I'm moving to California for a job. Like, unless it's the Bay Area. I personally don't like LA, and I honestly think like Danny Hurley would be miserable there. I can't picture that dude in LA. He's got the same skin tone as me. He's so pale.
I think Danny is very filled with pride and ego.
Yep.
And I don't think you get to the level of success he has without that. So I think the possibility of being turned into a celebrity, even more so than he is now,
really,
I think appeals to him.
Okay.
Well,
I might be misreading that one.
To be honest, we're talking about lifestyle here with the breaking news this morning that Dan Hurley could be the next head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers. To be honest, look at what's happening with college sports versus pros. It's so much about recruiting your own players and out there on the recruiting trail, and guys are getting burnt out. There's no breaks, and then let alone your season, which you have to get through. Maybe, you like not having to be the general manager and the head coach. Maybe your lifestyle actually gets much better when you're a pro coach.
Yeah, and it's a pain in the ass. I mean, they opened the portal while the tournament was going on.
Right, the coaches hated that.
You don't even get it. Like you said, you don't get a single moment of rest. It's always constantly recruiting.
Wasn't it Brad Underwood, on the phone before a game for Illinois, trying to recruit somebody?
Either that or trying to get a new toupee.
Yeah. Top 5 worst toupees in sports.
But yeah, Rob Pelinka.
I didn't know he had one.
I don't think he does. I don't think he does.
We interviewed him. I did not notice that.
I didn't notice it, but.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe that will be a future top 5 for us. Yeah. Top 5 toupees.
I don't know. Maybe take that one out of the podcast. We need Brad Underwood on the show again.
Okay, Dan Hurley. Lots of this to dissect. Lots of it. We didn't even really get into the JJ Redick side. What happened to JJ?
One word to describe that whole situation: delicious. This is
we'll get to that.
Amazing to watch.
Maggie and Perloff. Wow, got a doozy for you. Dan Hurley. Will this work if he's the next head coach of the Lakers? 855-212-4227. You could also watch us this morning. Good hair day all around, everyone. So props, especially you, Pete. YouTube.com/Infinity Sportsnet, Twitch.tv/Infinity Sports Network. What do we look like? Come watch us.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining.
Voice box so delicious. Andrew Bogusch, lost in the fog of Bogusch can't see his way. People loud, his voice in his ears every day. Tom Brady's glory. It's all too much. Andrew Bogusch needs a break. Bogusch has had enough. Simple melodies, that's what Bogusch needs. People that he won't leave. the drone. Oh, get out of Bogusch shed. People are, can't you see Bogusch trying to be free in the sea of noise? Let Bogusch find his peace. Oh, get out of Bogusch shed. People are. Get out of Bogusch head, please, please.
One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Big news around here. Big news. But the LA Lakers head coaching job, thought it was going to be JJ Redick. Pause that. Looks like Dan Hurley is now going to be the man the Lakers are targeting, and he checks off a lot of boxes for them. Really good coach, great coach, back-to-back champion. Can develop young players, whether that's young players on the Lakers now or maybe future draft picks like Bronny James. Could be good for the Lakers both now and in the future, depending on when LeBron James wants to call it a career. So you can understand the appeal for sure. You know, it's going to be a learning curve for sure for Hurley.
Andrew Bogusch and I are giving you a hard time. We totally disagree that Bronny's a major factor.
Yeah.
I got to be honest, now I'm rooting for draft night. You're claiming it's all about Dan Hurley. The Atlanta Hawks select Bronny James. Then we
San Antonio Spurs.
That is the only way we can be proven absolutely right that Bronny was not the reason that Dan Hurley's being hired. But I don't think that's going to happen. I do think he's going to Lakers. And no, I understand your logic, but it's just so weird to me that this bench player who's not even going to be part of this thing with LeBron, he's just going to be a sort of a symbolic roster spot. Is the reason that Dan Hurley is leaving UConn because of Bronny James? I can't wrap my head around that.
Well, because Bronny, they couldn't have just gotten Bronny onto the UConn roster. I think
he wanted to go to Duquesne. I mean, like they could have gotten it.
I know, which is like, think about it. You know, if LeBron really wanted to do his son a favor, he probably would have gotten him onto the UConn roster with Dan Hurley coaching that squad and helped Bronny develop on the college level.
Whatever. Didn't he do a podcast where him and JJ were basically designing plays for his son? I mean, this is like, I don't buy the Bronny angle.
All right. So we've got that. We also have other things that are going on in sports. I mean, try to top this, Andrew Bogusch. I dare you.
I'm not. We're going to stay with UConn because the door might be slightly ajar for Bill Murray's son to be UConn's men's basketball coach. Luke Murray has been on Dan Hurley's staff for years at multiple schools. And all this breaking news this morning with the Lakers preparing this massive long-term offer for Hurley. It is more likely that Kamani Young would replace Hurley, at least temporarily, if he does take this job. But Luke Murray's in play. And how about Bill Murray being one step away from a seat like that?
The Lakers should hire Luke Murray. Why?
To get Bill.
Middleman
To get to Bill.
Yes.
Well, he's got that going for him. So.
For an entertainment
Nice.
standpoint, I mean, this is the entertainment capital of the world. Get Luke Murray, and they had Luke Walton. Just as they keep on having scratching out the nameplate on the coaches thing. They already have half of it with Luke Walton. Just bring in actually, did they ever have Luke Walton? No.
Yeah,
Right.
definitely. 3 coaches ago.
Oh yeah. I remember him as a player there. Anyway, Luke Murray sounds awesome. That'd be so fun. UConn, Bill Murray at every game. Oh man.
Now, Boyle presented the idea that Dan Hurley is not a smokescreen, but like they're using Hurley because something went wrong with Redick. What if the reverse is true? What if Redick all along has been designed to keep us looking in that direction and not towards Hurley?
It's possible.
If Redick
I think
was
that's
the
possible.
smokescreen?
Maybe they wanted something that the media would definitely grab onto, and maybe they're throwing JJ out there for the red meat so that they could behind the scenes work on Danny Hurley.
And why would JJ do that? Just as
maybe he doesn't know
He
it.
might not know.
Oh, okay.
The CIA calls that sheep dipping, by the way. It's something I learned as I
call it
went
what?
down my JFK.
Bogusch, don't ask.
No, I'm listening.
Do not get her started.
I've got some literature in my
CIA
car.
Maggie.
Yeah, I know.
Sheep dipping?
Sheep dipping.
Do not encourage anyone. I know it sounds interesting, but it's not going to go to the place you want it to go.
I'm currently reading a book that someone gave me about a certain conspiracy theory that's
dude.
volume 1, and it's 400 pages long. I'm like, how is there a volume 2 on this thing?
But I'm reading it.
Well, it's because it was given to me by someone that we all know.
Well, I'm just worrying.
And trust.
I call the JFK assassination a gateway conspiracy. Next thing you know, it's,
Yeah, I'm storing the whole bag now.
Yeah.
If I hear Illuminati out of your mouth,
just
I'm
the fact
leaving.
that, and just it affects us day to day. Like the Lakers are about to hire the most successful college coach out there, and Maggie's got to go 7 layers below. It's like, wow. So we're never going to get the obvious story.
No,
like
you don't. You just keep thinking you have the real story.
yeah,
You
like,
don't.
the Ravens win the Super Bowl, but did they? I mean, what is going on here?
What happened when the lights went off at New Orleans? in that game?
I'm getting there.
Oh, please do not start.
there.
Do not start. I mean, the NBA draft lottery might as well not exist.
Listen, you don't need to be Black Ops to realize that this could help Bronny. Like, this isn't 7 layers deep. This is right there at the surface.
My God.
Just open up your third eye, Pearl.
Whatever. You're like, I'm just so surprised the NBA gave Wemby to the Spurs. Yeah, it's called a random lottery.
No. That was never happening. There's nothing random about the NBA draft
So, yeah,
lottery.
let's get the smallest market in the country
Yeah.
and give him Wemby.
Yeah, you think ping pong balls are deciding billions of dollars in future revenue?
Right. Let's hook him up with
Bad
Popovich.
business.
Let's hook him up with Popovich, whose best year was 16 years ago. Like, what are we doing? Stop.
Baseball yesterday afternoon, the Giants jumped on Arizona lefty Jordan Montgomery for 6 runs and 2+ innings en route to a 9-3 win. Montgomery's ERA is now 6.80.
You just feel like a piece of crap every day. You show up, team 4-game winning streak, and I feel like every time I go out there, we lose.
Montgomery blaming at least part of his struggles on missing spring training because he signed so late. Giants lefty Blake Snell has struggled too. He's hurt now, and he feels the same way.
Oh, whose fault is that?
Well, I mean, it's everybody's
Scott
fault.
Boras.
But it's not just theirs, and teams are dumb trying to wait this stuff out too. This is another reason why this has to they need some kind of resolution of this, because it is stupid to give these guys money at the point where they're getting a late start to the season and it messes them up. They're all losers.
Are you defending Scott Boras?
Who, me?
Yes.
No, I'm saying they're all to blame. What the breakdown is, I don't know. But this doesn't work for anybody because these guys stink, and these two teams are wasting significant money on guys because of the stupid schedule that they all were going after.
Remember Camp Jobless? Do you guys remember
Yes.
this from a couple of years ago where they had to set up a whole different training camp?
Yeah.
Because guys were signing so late because teams were trying to play, no pun intended, hardball with them and not try to give these starting pitchers all this really huge money. Like the starting pitcher market in baseball is the one that's most fascinating because it's so big and you can make such a big mistake, and you've invested so much into pitchers. So they had this whole other spring training. They called it Camp Jobless.
Yeah, and again, and baseball's so stupid. Everybody else's first day of free agency is one of the best days on their calendar. And they're just fine with these dopes going through the entire offseason, not signing, not ready at the beginning of the year, and then they stink and they're wasting money on them. And everyone's like, oh, that sounds like a good idea. Let's keep doing it.
Make a deadline.
Nothing to change here.
Make a deadline. Everyone signs by the 1st of February.
You're saying you can't win a title in the offseason? Is that what I'm hearing here?
I'm saying it's helpful to have guys stay on schedule and be under the hands of your coaching staff, not at camp jobless.
And I think the teams would say guys get hurt all the time. Like guys will burn themselves on an iron, like falling down the stairs, cooking.
Oh, that's all excuse for a drunken accident.
Oh, yeah.
But Camp Jobless, close relative to Camp Half-Blood for any Percy Jackson fans.
Oh, that's big in my house right now.
Yeah,
I knew
big Camp Half-Blood house over here. Let's shout out. Maggie's like, what are these
and Pat
nerds
just looked at each other. I was like,
what is that? Is that a Harry Potter thing?
You didn't read Percy Jackson as a kid?
No.
Nope.
Curious George.
Not the same exact reading levels.
The man in the yellow hat is what they call Scott Boras behind his back.
Right.
It's Maggie's new boyfriend. He's very mysterious.
The man in the yellow hat.
That's my side piece.
He's kind of hot.
The man in the yellow hat?
Yeah, the man in the yellow hat.
He has a big hat.
Perennially single. Maybe we want to dive into that.
Did you hear
what's going on there?
He said that looks like me.
Yeah, he looks like me with a hat. He's got a long, stretched out face. Yeah,
Maggie, your response?
Maybe. Is Perloff my type? Huh, that'd be a stunning turn of events.
Let's see.
Man in the yellow hat. I mean, it's weird he's got a monkey, though. I wouldn't date a guy with a monkey.
I mean, come on. This is basically my doppelganger.
Let's see.
Ooh, these are not good pictures of him. The updated man in the yellow hat's not as hot as...
Oh, they changed it?
The original one, like in the books, that's the man of mystery that Maggie wants.
I know the story of how he got the monkey, and that's fine, but if I went to a guy's apartment and there was a monkey in there, I'd leave.
Really?
So, by the way...
Yes, that's a deal breaker.
Immediately or after the weekend?
Well, I'd test it out for 6 months, and then I'd leave.
I would be very intrigued if I was at a girl's apartment and she had a pet monkey.
Totally
I would want to
different.
play with that thing all weekend.
Totally different, because you're not worried it's going to rip your face off. Well, I would be worried about that.
It's not just a monkey. It's George.
Right.
And he's curious.
Yeah. He's curious
what's the problem with that?
while I'm sleeping, to just crawl in and just gouge my eyes out.
He's curious.
What does human flesh taste like?
Yeah.
Can I just say for the record, by the way, that Camp Half-Blood is a way more relevant reference to our audience than Curious George, which was from 1958?
It's not from 1958. They did a movie on it, 10 years ago?
All right.
Well, the original.
Oh, it's been around
The
for a long
original's
time.
been around.
But Camp Half-Blood, everyone here should know.
Is that the name of the book?
Camp Half-Blood, where Percy Jackson goes to avoid the vengeful gods? What are you people
Honestly,
doing here?
I
They
feel
only
like-
sold 40 billion books.
I felt like Percy Jackson played wide receiver for the Seahawks. At
Exactly.
some point.
Different Percy Jackson.
Middle reliever.
Percy
for the
Harvin?
Cubs.
This guy's the son of a god and a regular woman.
Okay, great. Who is he?
There's been movies and TV
just,
shows.
that phrasing was funny. He is the son of a god and also the son of a regular woman. He's not the son of a god and a woman. What? I just like it.
Well, that's why he's a half-blood, right? His
You guys
mom
don't
is
know
a
Percy
civilian.
Jackson? I can't believe there's been 4 movies. There's a new TV
I
show
know,
on
my kids are
Amazon
watching.
that
My kids
only is
on-
the highest rated thing in the...
My son's on volume 3 of the Percy Jackson books.
Wait, Pat, you don't know Harry Potter?
I know Harry Potter.
And you don't know Percy Jackson?
Nope. That one went right over my head. That one, I just kind of swam through that whenever that became popular.
I fell asleep during one of the Harry Potter movies for the entire movie. I did. It was
In the
awful.
theater?
I did.
Yeah.
Let's
I've done
just
that
say
before.
we were on a road trip. I was doing a game.
A road trip.
I was doing a game, and the 3 other people on the crew picked that movie, and I didn't want to go see it.
And where were you in this great country?
Virginia, I think. And I had a bucket of popcorn. And I fell asleep.
Into the popcorn.
Into the popcorn.
Because the movie was too new?
No.
Because it was in color? What bothered you about it?
Dan Aykroyd wasn't in it.
Right.
Jeez, I honestly just got a cramp because
The
I was
cone heads
laughing at
aren't
what
there.
Pilates said.
Doesn't
He's
matter.
He's in Fredericksburg, Virginia, falling asleep, the prisoner of Azkaban. I just have this whole image in my head. What about Lord of the Rings?
Same thing.
Oh,
Kaplan says this is the nerdiest debate in the history of radio.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Maggie and Bilotti, movie twins. It's amazing.
I fell
That's why
asleep in Lord of the Rings.
That's why I fell asleep.
Yeah, but
People were showing up with like elfin ears on, and I was fell asleep.
Beverly Hills Cop 2, you guys are all in. Oscar-winning Lord of the Rings, no thank you.
I thought Percy Jackson was the person who made Lord of the Rings, but I think that's Peter Jackson now.
Yeah, that's right.
No, I definitely fell asleep. Those movies are like 5 hours long.
What else has he done, Peter Jackson?
Well, a few things.
A King
Isn't
Kong
it Percy
movie?
Jackson?
What else has he done?
The Hobbit.
Who's on second?
You ever hear of a little movie? What's the one with the big blue people?
Avatar?
Avatar. You ever hear of Avatar?
Well, that was James
I
Cameron.
saw Avatar. I actually liked Avatar.
But I could have easily convinced him it was Peter Jackson.
I knew that. That's James Cameron. I
You
could
don't
have
think
fallen asleep
Bellotti
in
definitely
Avatar.
didn't know that. I could have convinced
No, I
him.
knew it was James Cameron. I saw the movie over in the 3D IMAX thing.
He saw that one in Richmond.
You liked Avatar?
I did like Avatar. I thought it was excellent.
Oh, you're bizarre.
Not bizarre.
That ain't breaking news.
Bogusch, are you surprised that he liked Avatar?
I'm surprised he saw a new movie.
Oh, I'm sorry. Peter Jackson also did the Beatles thing. That big
Oh, that
documentary
documentary, yeah.
that came out with the footage that was lost about them when
Oh,
they
yeah.
write Let It Be.
Great.
Get Back. When they write Get Back. Sorry.
Somehow
we need EJ here for this nerdy movie conversation. He's actually the king of all this crap.
I know.
Mr. Marvel.
He's
They have
Tower of London right now.
I'm glad too because they announced the new Marvel movie too. It's all the stars.
Emergency Pod.
Yeah, they're all gonna be in it. Yeah,
He canceled his trip.
He's on fire. Honestly, I'm surprised he's still in London watching the Mets Phillies.
Are you chasing it? I'll watch it.
Oh God.
Chevy Chase.
This is what we're dealing with Dan Hurley. Dan Hurley's going to LA and he's going to get involved in all this entertainment stuff. He's not going to work in LA.
He's not for LA.
He is not for LA,
No.
right? Like, first of all, he's going to need so much sunscreen. It's just, and he's so intense. And all he wants to do is coach and draw plays up. Doesn't fit LA to me. This is very surprising.
He'll go live in San Bernardino. He'll stay outside the area. Very far outside the area.
Did you learn that on $1 Million Listing? Where you get that
I'm
nugget
just guessing
from?
where that is. I don't even know what it is in California.
He'll live
be
in the
safe.
valley. Where's the valley? We all know where the valley is.
Pete's been keeping up with HGTV.
Yeah. That was very specific.
And very matter of fact, like we all should know it.
I do watch
Oh, good
$1 Million.
point. Right, of course.
I do watch $1 Million Listing, and every time I see a house, I say, I'm not buying that house.
But did they send poorer folks to San Bernardino? If they I don't understand.
No, I'm just saying, he's not going to live in Los Angeles. He's not going to be on
Rodeo Drive?
Rodeo
In Hollywood,
Drive,
yeah.
I think he'll live next to Lincoln Riley. Why not? He got a nice house.
Apparently, his wife didn't want to leave Rhode Island for Connecticut. So California
Gotta
seems
question
like
her
a,
taste.
That's a there's that.
No,
And
Rhode
then-
Island is great, by the way. It's
Rhode Island is
beautiful.
great.
Beaches. Taylor Swift's got a huge mansion there. Rhode Island rocks.
I wouldn't want to leave Rhode Island for.
Well, have
You
you,
know
been to
what,
Kingston,
Connecticut?
Rhode Island, where URI which is where they were leaving to go to UConn?
there.
That's not Taylor Swift's waterfront property.
This is where Colin Cowherd did the all-time flex.
Yeah. I live down the block from her.
No, he said someone was trying to break into his house because they thought it was Taylor Swift's place. All-timer.
He's got a place in Newport. Or is it-
It's not Newport. It's a different place. It starts with a W. I forgot.
Was he wrong about that, too? Hello?
Somehow we were on the Diamondbacks and got to Percy Jackson and then San Bernardino escape route. So let's get to the Minnesota Lynx. 86-62 winners in LA last night. That is career win number 307 for head coach Cheryl Reeve. That breaks her tie with Bill Laimbeer for second all-time in WNBA history. Reeve needs 73 more to pass Mike Tebow. Oklahoma struck first in the College Softball World Series finale, 8-3 over top-seeded Texas. Game 2 of the best of 3 is tonight. And we can now set our schedules for the first 12-school college football playoff. Dates and times released yesterday, with round 1 starting Friday night, December 20th. Then a triple header on the 21st. Friday and Saturday night will be on ESPN. The 2 Saturday games on TNT, going up against an NFL doubleheader.
Yeah, not just any NFL doubleheader. College football is really coming for the NFL, or is not scared away by the NFL with their postseason tournament. They're going up against Chiefs, Texans, and Ravens, Steelers, which is 2 pretty huge games as far as the NFL is concerned.
Chiefs Texans is gigantic.
We are expecting by that late in the season, too, you're maybe jockeying for your own playoff position or whatever. And college football just does not care. And what I'm curious about is, you put up, granted, good matchups against the NFL, but it is regular season NFL games up against a elimination college football game. Where does the audience go?
Oh, definitely NFL, right?
Yeah.
No doubt.
That's why those games are on TNT.
I was saying last night on production, this is like when they put the Pacers-Cavs first-round series at 6:30 on Sunday night on TNT.
I was thinking like the 4:30 NBC AFC wildcard game.
Oh, yeah.
That's what these games will feel like.
My friend Andy Dalton always used to lose that game to the Texans. Yeah, there's definitely there's a hierarchy of college football playoff games, and they're going to bury two of these. Poor Florida State will probably get stuck in that spot.
And whatever Group of 5 school gets in is playing in that window too.
Pencil in the Bearcats. Cincinnati's definitely playing.
Well, not anymore for them in the Big 12.
Yeah.
But Memphis is going to be that game or something like that.
Oh, yeah. But I think actually people can do two screens now. I don't think you have to watch one exclusively. At least I'm not sure it's a head-to-head battle necessarily as much as it used to be during NFL season. Think about it. There's 14 games on at once, and they all do good ratings. So I think there's enough of a pie to share here.
Yeah, I always wonder about this because we're in this so much that my house in the fall looks like a Buffalo Wild Wings with the amount of screens that I have. But I don't know if you can expect people who are just, casual sports fans or even big football fans to have multiple screens. I mean, you have your laptop, I guess, and then I don't know.
Also, too,
that's like a normal thing. I think it's just normal in our world.
What a terrible job by college football.
But you know what? They always do this, too, because they put these playoff games on New Year's Eve. It's the most inconvenient time.
Oh, they're doing that again, too, by the way. You got Tuesday, December 31st, one of these playoff games.
It's 7:30, right?
7:30 p.m. Eastern time, the Fiesta Bowl.
Those games are 4 hours and 15 minutes minimum. So that's going to run.
No one watching us?
That's run right into the ball drop.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, they're going to get those. It's the first 4, so those are fringe national contending teams anyway. But they're going to get smoked in the ratings. Nobody, unless you're a diehard alum or fan of, I don't know, Florida State, if they're number 10 and they're playing whoever's number 7 or 8, you're not watching that game over Chiefs Texans or Steelers Ravens.
I mean, but realistically, I think a lot of college fans are going to flip back and forth. I don't think it's totally a one. Maybe I'm naive.
I just think
I don't think
stakes
it's
are
one
different.
or the other.
You're going to one that's an elimination in a postseason tournament versus a regular season game. I don't know. This also could have been avoided. I think college football could have just backed this up. Pat, you thought, why not go up against the Thursday night game as opposed to going up against a NFL doubleheader where Patrick Mahomes is playing?
Exactly. And even more so, I would have done these first 4 games. I would have went Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night. 4 primetime games, 4 straight days. It's the week before Christmas. People will watch.
Yep.
And
spread them out.
rather than 12 and 4 on Saturday, when you're like you said, you're going up against 2 high marquee profile NFL games.
Yeah, but that Thursday night game could be big, don't they? I think they're flexing those this year.
But it's only one game as opposed to going up against
Right.
a doubleheader. And the Steelers are one of the biggest franchises in the league. There's fans of the Steelers everywhere.
And that Thursday night game is Amazon. Think about how many people still don't have Amazon. So they're going to say, okay, ESPN/ABC over Amazon, that's an easy choice for me, rather than that Chiefs, Texans, and Steelers, Ravens is Fox and NBC.
Yeah, but college football will get that night. So that's going to be a big rating.
Well, yeah, but I mean, because they're not going up against the NFL.
Yeah, I just think there's limited windows here at a certain point. Yeah, they don't want to.
I wouldn't care.
They're not going to put a game on a Wednesday.
I would absolutely put a game on a Wednesday night. I think
the whole
it would
night
do
to
great.
yourself.
It just feels weird. Like college football, they could put. Why are they always on a Monday? Why is it always Saturdays and Mondays? There must be a reason. You don't do a Wednesday night for a big game. You do a Monday night.
They do the Labor Day weekend kickoff. There's a game Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
It feels like MACtion if they do it on Wednesday. It feels like we see Buffalo play Bowling Green. I don't know.
see what you're saying, but I think the fact that it's the week before Christmas, people are already getting into holiday, Christmas/holiday spirit. It's a college football playoff game on its own on a Wednesday night. People are going to watch. People want something to watch.
Oh, sure, but I don't think that's the only calculation here. I think there's a lot going on with these games. Everyone's got to get there. They want it to be a weekend event.
855-212-4227. Bogusch, thank you so much. We get back to the top story in just a moment, which is Dan Hurley has emerged as maybe the leader. He's being targeted by the Lakers for their head coaching job. Could it be J.J. Redick out and Dan Hurley in? We unpack every part of this next.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. News this morning, Woj bomb drops early here on the East Coast, late on the West Coast, that the Lakers are prepared to offer a massive and long-term contract extension to UConn head coach Dan Hurley, not JJ Redick. Hey, welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. So here's something that could happen tonight. Can I foreshadow a little something for you?
Yeah, hit me.
Let's just say that somehow game 1 of the NBA Finals does not deliver, right? Let's just say that it becomes a blowout. This happens in the finals all the time.
Right.
And let's say one team is winning by 30 and coaches empty the bench and you still have 5.5 minutes left to go in the game or something.
Okay.
Will the broadcast tonight of Mike Breen, Doris Burke, and JJ Redick, who we thought was going to be the Laker coach because Shams Charania said 2 days ago they were zeroing in on JJ Redick, do they touch this? Because this is the big news in the NBA, and if it's a blowout game, you would think the 3 very prominent voices, Breen, Doris, JJ now, are they going to bring this up? Because this looks bad for JJ. He definitely
That's a great question.
seemed like he had it in the bag.
I would think it's a no bring up situation. I mean, listen.
Then you're not serving the audience.
Well, I mean, just the fact that it's Doris Burke, Mike Breen, and JJ Redick's already not serving the audience. Like, could you guys go to lunch once and get to know each other a little bit more, have some chemistry? Like, they're so polite on that show.
Go to lunch once.
I think they make I'll bet you, if I had to bet, it's like a wink, wink, nod, nod to the situation without Frank outright addressing it. I think that's my bet. Do you think they'll openly talk about it? You think Doris or Mike will say, so what's the deal? Are you going to be the Lakers coach?
I don't think they'll put him on the spot like that again because they don't know each other well enough. But if it was anyone else sitting in that seat, you would talk about it.
If it was Van Gundy and Mark Jackson, they'd be making jokes from the first quarter on about it.
Right.
But unfortunately, that is not the broadcast crew. They're very polite. Individually, they're all amazing broadcasters. The 3 of them have not achieved chemistry yet. So it's not a comfortable boost. So I don't know how they joke about this. Maybe a wink, wink, nod, nod. Do you think JJ, well, it depends. Say Danny Hurley does not get hired today and it's still out there.
Yeah. He won't get hired, I don't think, on a day they play a game. I think the NBA...
But they let this Woj bomb out today.
That's true. They obviously, they're not afraid about this upstaging the finals. Maybe they think it's a nice boost for the league. Like, hey, here's a little breaking news for you with one of the marquee teams. Hey, by the way, game 1 of the finals is tonight.
Well, it does
While we have your attention.
I mean, what's the ultimate... party foul in this situation was A-Rod signing during the World Series. If they did hire him today, would that be criticized for taking away from the Mavs Celtics? Which is, by the way, kind of not the most glitzy finals we've ever had.
I was going to say this could probably use a little juice. So I think that they probably love it.
But no, that doesn't give it juice. It takes away from the Mavs Celtics.
No, it's like, hey, don't forget about the NBA. It's wild over here.
No, I think Friday everyone's talking about the Lakers and nobody's talking about the Mavs Celtics. I think I think they'd be criticized for that. Now, that being said, I don't think JJ's going to directly say anything tonight.
Oh, this is funny from Dwayne, who's in the chat, youtube.com/InfinitySportsNet. This is the Lakers trying to stay relevant, taking away from the Celtics. It's pathetic. It's like Angel Reese, he said. Probably could have done without that. But he said, it's like, is this another chapter in the Celtics-Lakers rivalry? The Lakers trying to upstage the Celtics as they're about to play for the title. That's funny.
That feels like a bit of a stretch. But
yeah, so at least, Maggie, with what you were saying, that it's maybe because of Bronny James, I can get into that. The fact that we're hearing about Danny Hurley is because they're trying to upstage the Celtics. Hey, well, Danny Hurley, you want to be involved in this head coaching search? We just want to take away the distraction from the NBA Finals.
No, but to Perloff's point, it's like a 1,000-word article that Woj just got to press send on today. They clearly have been knowing that this is a possibility. The timing to do it today when the Celtics are about to have a home finals game.
It's not a bad idea.
If they really wanted to upstage the Celtics, they could have done it at halftime of the game.
But again, you can't. JJ Redick won't bring it up.
It's a good theory. I actually like it because there is obviously the most famous historical rivalry, and they're both competing for most titles ever. But I feel like there's so many other problems in LA right now. Like they have so much to worry about. The Celtics are low down on that list. I mean, you're right. Even though I disagree with you on the impact of this, they are probably drafting Bronny James in about a month, and that's a big story.
It's a huge story, and it's a silly story. And the thing is like LeBron, if he actually did predicate his returning to the Lakers on whether or not they draft his son, we are already in such uncharted waters here that why not add, hey, let's also hire a college coach, a very accomplished hired college coach to help develop said unique choice.
Cap said LA is trying to hire him before the Celtics do.
Yeah. Celtics, by the way, Celtics
what were
are
they waiting on? They could have.
Who's the scapegoat if they don't beat the Mavericks? Is it Tatum or is it Joe Mazzulla?
Oh, definitely Mazzulla.
100% Mazzulla. They're already contracted for Brown and Tatum. That's a great point, by the way, because who would be a perfect coach? He's already up in New England. Oh, my God. That would have been perfect. And he feels like a Celtics coach. He doesn't feel like a Lakers coach. And they're both tied right now at 17 titles. So the Celtics, maybe this is it. Maybe we dismiss this too quickly.
I just didn't. Shame on us. Once Dan Hurley turned down that Kentucky job, I just put it out of my mind. It's like, all right, I guess he's just going back to UConn. I didn't even think that he'd be on the radar because then all those NBA jobs opened up and he wasn't. And they can try to tell us now that Dan Hurley's been the pick from the beginning is what they're trying to sell us with the Lakers search. I'm sorry. I don't believe that.
I mean, Woj saying that they have been targeting him from the beginning and then Shams zeroing in yesterday. That's the best subplot. The NBA Insider War.
Oof.
That is just gorgeous. Oh. And then JJ Redick and his podcast. Like, the media angles of this are so funny.
Well, does JJ keep doing the podcast with LeBron if he's not the Lakers head coach?
Apparently, they're zeroing in on another season.
Pete, you might get your dream might come true here.
All right.
The podcast may end.
Yes. Yes, please.
Pete's the big winner today.
Oh, give me a bottle of wine.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Wow, what a doozy we got this morning. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Just when we all thought the Lakers were zeroing in on J.J. Redick as their next head coach, well, we got an oopsie-doop. Wojbomb this morning says, no, not so fast. It's actually UConn Huskies head coach Dan Hurley, Pearl, coming off of back-to-back national titles, and now he's being targeted by the LA Lakers.
Wild. Yeah, I mean, there also happens to be an NBA Finals tonight, too. And to be honest, I don't think Dan Hurley is going to be this is his closest involvement he'll have with the NBA Finals for a while if he does take that Lakers job.
Oh, Pearl couldn't help but get in that dig. Well, let's talk more about it with Chad Finn, who is a sports writer for the Boston Globe. And Chad, thanks so much for the time today. How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
We're doing great. And, you know, we wish we could say we planned it perfectly. You guys did a big deep dive here onto the Boston Celtics and why they're this all-time historic team, which is why we wanted to have you on. Lucky us, you're also a media reporter, and the story breaks this morning that instead of ESPN analyst J.J. Redick getting the Laker job, it could be Dan Hurley. Curious your thoughts on what transpired this morning.
Yeah, Woj must have enjoyed sending that one out, huh? All the Redick speculation, and then this comes out of nowhere. It's pretty interesting because ESPN had a conference call the other day with JJ and Doris Burke, and the first thing they said at the top of the conference call was no questions about the Lakers job. And everybody heeded that, but it just from that, it felt like, okay, so this is going to happen. JJ's going to get this gig. They'll probably announce it 5 seconds after the finals are over. And instead, Woj comes out with a Woj bomb among all Woj bombs. And there's a lot to take away. I mean, coaches are leaving college sports at a pretty alarming rate. And you think about, what this Lakers job really is, how appealing it is. There's a lot to digest here.
Chad, do you think they'll mention it on the telecast tonight, that maybe Doris would ask a question about this?
If this were like a merge between TNT and ESPN, Barkley would certainly ask about it, but I think probably nobody says a word. Maybe Woj will be on there pregame and talking about the Hurley aspect, but I would be shocked if they address the JJ aspect.
Chad Finn's joining us from the Boston Globe. We will get to the Celtics, we promise. I'm curious what you think about Dan Hurley as a head coach in the NBA. We've seen it work at times. Brad Stevens, obviously, with the Boston Celtics, was at Butler and took them to back-to-back title games that they lost, but did a nice job in Boston, still there. Billy Donovan is still in the NBA. Didn't work out so well for John Calipari or Fred Hoiberg. It's a kind of a mixed bag. How do you think Dan Hurley would be as the Lakers head coach?
Yeah, what I always wonder about just the team on our mind here, but the Celtics went after Coach K back in the 90s, and I've always wondered how that would have worked. probably about as well as Rick Pitino did. But Hurley's kind of a maniac. I think he's probably more of a fit for college basketball, but you see like the stuff LeBron said about him even months ago about how good he is tactically, strategically. They have a program, a system, things you need to succeed in the NBA. So I mean, maybe he's one of those few guys that can do it, but even with all the success Brad Stevens had here, he always had to deal with that thing with some of the players about the fact that he didn't play in the league, that he wasn't an NBA guy. And it caught up to him a little bit at the end when he ended up moving upstairs and Danny Ainge retiring, quote unquote. So I think it's probably going to be more of an uphill thing if he does end up with a Laker job than probably he anticipates.
Sort of transitioning to the finals and talking about coaching, Chad, your article on the sort of the Celtics legacy, I didn't even, it really opened my eyes like where this team is in NBA history. But I do worry a little bit about Joe Mazzulla. I got to be honest, like Jason Kidd really kicked everyone's butt in the West. And Maggie and I have been talking about it. Do we really think, even as impressive as Celtics could be, when it really comes down to crunch time, is Joe Mazzulla the kind of coach that can lead an all-time NBA team?
Yeah, that's a good question. He's made huge improvements this year. But there was a long way to go. I mean, last year he wouldn't call timeouts. He just didn't think mathematically that history suggests that when you call a timeout 50% of the time, it stops around 50% of the time it doesn't. So why not save them for when you need them? But then he would have 3 in his pocket at the end of the game. He's made progress there. I think the players trust and respect him a lot more than they did last year. You look at some of the roster changes that they've made, and the guys who are gone were the ones who probably had the most doubt about Mazzulla last year. So the players in that locker room right now are in his corner, which wasn't exactly the case last season with everybody. Kidd's interesting, though, because tactically he's never been regarded as a great coach tactically, and then all of a sudden it just is all meshed with Dallas. I wrote about it yesterday. I don't know who to pick in the coaching matchup here because they're both coming from really distinct places and almost unique situations for both of them.
Chad Finn is joining us. He's a sports reporter for the Boston Globe, did a great deep dive on this Celtics team that we know is a great team, but we're really, maybe we're blind to the fact that this could be a historic all-time team. And if they're able to finish the job, they could be remembered that way. Kyrie Irving returning to Boston, Chad, is this a big deal, or is this been maybe the air taken out of it because Kyrie has been so honest about the mistakes he made when he was in Boston?
Yeah, I mean, he was it's complicated because he was awful here. You go back and look at his last season, he quit in the Bucks series. He just checked. He was switching onto Giannis defensively for no reason and then not even really trying to guard him, taking pull-up fadeaway jumpers every time down the court. I've never really seen anything like it, and it was a brutal locker room afterwards when nobody really addressed each other. It's kind of the opposite of what they have now, which is this great camaraderie and everybody's kind of rowing in the same direction. But Kyrie was dealing with a lot then too, and my hope is that Celtics fans acknowledge that and don't go too over the top beyond the booing. But I don't know. I think it might get pretty bad here. I just hope they don't throw things at him like they did before. That's where you got to draw the line, I guess.
Chad, do you buy that Kyrie's a different person? Like, he sure comes off that way in Dallas.
Yeah, I want to see him deal with some adversity because everything's gone right the last second half of the season since the P.J. Washington and Gafford additions have fit so well there. He has a superstar that he plays with that he respects. In Luka, which is a big piece of it. But if they're down 2-0 to the Celtics and Drew Holiday is tormenting him defensively, I'm really curious to see how he handles that. He says all the right things, but he said all the right things when he got to Boston too, and that went off the rails in less than a season. So we'll see. I don't completely buy it, but he does seem like he's matured a little bit.
Again, Chad Finn joining us from the Boston Globe. Great deep dive on this Celtics team. Recommend it. It's great. Even if you're not a numbers person, it's really easy and outlined very digestible. So it's not like you're getting killed, with all these statistics. It's just the relevant stuff you need to know. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. I'm curious, Chad, about their relationship kind of, and also the pressure that they both must be feeling here. If they lose to this Mavericks team, obviously the Celtics have a lot of money committed to Brown and they're ready to commit a lot of money to Tatum. But would it be fair to bring back calls about whether or not they can actually win it all together?
Yeah, because this feels like the time, right? They went through, for Jaylen Brown, this is 6 times that he's gotten to the Eastern Conference Finals or beyond in his 8-year career. For Tatum, it's 5 and 7. They've been through the battles. Their real test was being up 2-1 to the Warriors 2 years ago. Curry goes off in the fourth quarter, game 4, and they weren't mature enough for that. They weren't mature enough to win that series. They are now. The pieces around them fit with guys like Drew Holiday, Derek White, Al Horford, Porzingis, who's been everything you could have hoped. It just feels like this has to be the time for them. And if it isn't, they're going to get really expensive. Tatum's getting probably going to get about $315 million in a max extension. Derek White's contract's going to be up after next season. They signed an extension with Holiday. So this team is blowing past the second apron. They are committed to winning a championship, and now it's just it's up to those players to execute it. So they've got a lot of weight on them, but they seem really mature and ready for what's to come here. I think they're ready for this.
Chad, who draws Luka Doncic defensively?
Probably Jaylen. He's done a pretty good job on him comparatively in the past, but I saw a stat. Nobody ever really stops him. I saw a stat that Ben Simmons tormented Luka. You forget when Ben Simmons was a really good basketball player, but physically, Tatum's kind of like that. Tatum's 6'9", really strong. He comes back stronger every year. And I wouldn't be shocked to see him defend Luka late in games. I don't think they're going to risk getting him into foul trouble early. But I think we might see Jaylen and a little bit of Tatum late.
Chad Finn joining us from the Boston Globe. Last one from me, and I got to go back to what the top story is today, which is Dan Hurley now being targeted for the Lakers head coach. Obviously, the Celtics are about to be in the finals, so of course the Lakers have to do something. This rivalry is one that's deep, and maybe want to steal a little of the shine from the Lakers. What's your thought on, Perloff and I don't agree on this, about the level to which Bronny James matters in this story? Woj mentions it in one of the paragraphs that Bronny and his development, that could be a bonus if Dan Hurley is the head coach of the Lakers to help help Bronny's development. Bronny's not even on the team yet. I think this is a bigger part of the story in LeBron trying to set up his kid for maybe some future success in the league. Perloff's not buying it. How big of a part of the story do you think this is?
Maybe Bronny should have just transferred to UConn and played 2 more years there. You hear so many mixed things about him, like that some teams like him, and then he just got buried for some of the stuff from the workouts. So it feels like if anybody drafts him, it's going to be the Lakers, and LeBron goes back there. And you look back at LeBron's tweets about Hurley; they're all about player development. So there might be something to it, but if you're hiring a coach based on a guy who probably belongs in the G League, that's another mistake that the Lakers would be making here.
All right, Chad, do you feel good? After your article, I feel like the Celtics have to win this. They have to. It feels like it'll be bad if they don't.
I was just looking at the ESPN picks, and I think it's 9-8 Dallas. So I don't know if people have recognized how great the Celtics season has been because the path to the final. Every time they played a team, the best player got hurt. But I do think they're going to recognize this when the finals are over. I picked Celtics in 6. I'm nervous about it, but I do think this is the best team in the NBA. They have been all year, and they're going to prove it now on this biggest stage.
I think people trust Luka in the last 2 minutes more than they trust Jason Tatum. Is that what
they should?
People said?
Yeah, they should. Because that's been the issue. Celtics haven't had a lot of close games. They won 10 by 30 points or more, but the late game execution has been an issue because it basically turns into Tatum iso ball. It didn't happen that way in the Pacers series in the Eastern Conference Finals, where you saw guys like Drew Holiday and Derek White making plays. So around here, there's a sense of optimism that maybe the ball is going to move a little bit more when games are on the line. I feel like we're going to find this out firsthand in one of these first couple of games of how it's going to go in a tight game in the 1 or 2 point game in the final seconds.
Chad, thanks for the time today. Enjoy the game tonight. Good luck to the Celtics. I know the whole city of Boston is on pins and needles on this one. Appreciate it. And again, great job on the deep dive into the Celtics. It was a cool piece.
Hey, thanks, guys. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, good to see you. Thank you, Chad.
Take care.
Wow. So Chad did not reject your Bronny theory, but he did point out something really smart. We might not agree on how big a part Bronny is of the potential hiring of Danny Hurley with the Lakers, but we all agree it's a stupid idea to hire Danny Hurley to mentor Bronny. Chad said it. I think it. And even if it is a big part, this is not classic team building. Like, let's hire a guy to mentor our second-round pick. I mean, if you look at last year's second round, I actually did this exercise. I barely heard of any of them, let alone the first round of this year's draft.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think it's part of it. I think it's a bigger part of it than people want to admit. Again, that's the top story today, which is Dan Hurley is now being targeted by the Lakers. Long-term lucrative deal, according to Adrian Wojnarowski, to be the next Lakers head coach. Wow, 855-212-4227. Is this going to work with Dan Hurley? I like what Chad Finn had to say right there, which is, Hurley's kind of a fiery guy, bit of a wild card on the sidelines, and that generally doesn't mesh with NBA superstars. They don't want to be shown up, talked about like that in public.
Yeah, but if you win, it's all good.
If you win, and do you think the Lakers are going to be winning?
Yeah, I mean, I think they could be a playoff team.
855-212-4227. More on this in just moments.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. Oh my gosh, there's just so many angles on this potential hire of the Los Angeles Lakers. Danny Hurley, reported today by Woj, is the front runner being targeted, has been targeted from the start. You can get into the media war here. You can get into what it means for LeBron, Bronny, what it means for UConn. It is crazy, and I'm sorry, NBA Finals, you're going to have to wait because this is
got to unpack this.
This is like the fact that it's the Lakers really are still. I know there's the Warriors, I know there's Celtics, I know there's Wemby. They are still the premier franchise in the NBA. It's like they're the Cowboys, right? So this is such a huge story.
It is. I'm trying to keep a little track, back of the envelope style, of the things that you and I agree upon on this and the things we disagree upon here.
Okay.
So I think we both agree, ha-ha JJ Redick. Yes?
Oh, my God, yes.
A little ha-ha. Not that we're, wishing bad things on JJ Redick, but this is very funny that he was definitely out there. It felt like kind of acting like he got the job. No, we just talked to Chad from the Boston Globe, who was on a conference call with all of the NBA, the finals broadcasters, and
right.
the PR said no questions about the Lakers. So that's kind of implying that JJ thought he was getting the job.
Well, I just think that JJ could kill that. He could say on a podcast, listen, I knew all along it was not me. I just did not want to blow up the Danny Hurley story. Okay. Yeah, I mean, he could say that. He could get out of this.
Okay, but we both think this is pretty funny about JJ.
Yeah, I mean, any Duke player struggling, I'm all for that.
So where we don't agree is how much Bronny James actually plays into this story and whether hiring a college coach, and Danny Hurley is very accomplished, what that means for Bronny. You and I do not agree on that. I think it matters a lot. You think it matters a little.
Wait, let me get your thinking on this. You think a college coach is going to better develop Bronny James because he really didn't have much experience in college?
I think that LeBron thinks that because it's in the story. So I think that's part of it. Now, here's one that I don't know that you and I haven't gotten to the bottom of yet. How do you think LeBron James would respond to Danny Hurley style coaching? If he gets the news, and Dan Hurley, Bogusch, you're here, you played this clip for us last hour of Danny Hurley on the Dan Patrick Show 2 months ago, saying he's got a lot of growing up to do if he ever took an NBA job. Like, he can't turn off the intensity. Say he shoots, all of a sudden he's barking at LeBron James in the middle of a game because he loses himself for a minute. Like, how do we think LeBron's going to respond to that? Or how do you think LeBron would respond to really tough coaching?
I think he wants it because I think he is sick of having to yell at D'Angelo Russell himself. Like, he must realize we need a heavy-handed coach in here because obviously nobody was listening to Darvin Ham. I don't think. And Russell is a big problem, assuming he's back. Like, he's a huge problem. Like, they got to get him to play the right way. So I think he's got a lot of young guys on his team, and he'd appreciate the help. I mean, so basically...
Okay, what if that means also LeBron being yelled at? And by the way, let me add this caveat. Let's say Dan Hurley, again, this stuff can be hard to just turn it on and off like a faucet. Let's say Dan Hurley is ripping into LeBron James in front of his son.
Oh,
I don't think that's going over well. I'm just going to be honest.
He's not going to rip into. I hear what you're saying.
Just saying.
It's not going to happen. I think LeBron James does not mind being coached. He never struck me. He's got a little Tom Brady in him, but
what evidence do you have of that?
LeBron's not a diva. I mean,
how many coaches has he played for? Tom Brady's played for 2 coaches. He let Belichick rip into him for 20 years.
But LeBron
goes through coaches like nothing.
But he's always been a team guy for the most part. I mean, I think he's like always been about team success. I don't think he's ever been like, I need the ball, I need 35 points. I mean, he's always been like concerned with everything around him. I mean, like, listen, remember he came in the NBA and everyone's like, oh, this guy passes too much. Like, he's not like I know he's had a million coaches, but you view him as a coach killer who's always like, I'd get this guy out of here. See, I don't really believe. He just had like
Why does Frank
guys.
Vogel not have the job?
Because like Frank Vogel was like an afterthought as a hire in the first place.
They won a title with him.
Yeah, bubble title. But
all right.
I just think like, no, you think LeBron, so you think LeBron doesn't want to be coached and he's just going to bristle at anything Danny Hurley says if Danny Hurley does take that hardcore approach. Because I don't think that's going to happen.
I just think there's a real life moment in here where if Danny Hurley still does the coaching thing, which he has admitted, this is not us putting on it. He just said 2 months ago, if I were to coach in the NBA, I'd have a lot of maturing to do. I would have to grow up to be coaching these grown men, not college kids. And I'm saying if he loses his mind for a second and starts screaming at LeBron James and in front of Bronny, or in the chat, this is Ken said, what if Hurley yells at Bronny and LeBron tries to undermine him? Like, there's 100 different ways this could go down that gets really uncomfortable.
There's mutual respect. That's not going to happen. They're about the same age. I don't.
That's not true. Hurley's like 52.
I do not think they're going to. I think Danny Hurley, like every coach, is going to adjust to his personnel.
Does every coach do that?
Yeah.
No.
I mean,
the successful ones.
You don't think like Bill Belichick watched Bill Parcells chew out Phil Simms while Lawrence Taylor was running wild at practice? I mean, even Bill Belichick, the ultimate hard guy coach, had different levels for every single player. Yes, of course, you treat. You know, I know he yelled at Brady famously, but that was an arrangement they had. Like, yes, I do think Bobby Knight was just the worst, but he respected Michael Jordan like crazy. I think that everybody is malleable. And also LeBron is going to play along. I think they're going to be partners in this. Like, he's going to be like, yeah, yell at me in front of the team. Go ahead.
I can tell you the best coach in the NBA, Tom Thibodeau, will not adjust for any personnel.
That's true. He doesn't have LeBron on his team. But still, I don't think everyone adjusts. I'm going to be honest. And I don't know if it's a thing about Dan Hurley. Can he?
Well, give me an example.
Does he want to?
Give me an example of a hardcore coach who came in and yelled at the established superstar, like a good coach.
I think it's all the coaches who have gotten fired.
I mean, come on, Frank Vogel, Darvin Ham.
No, I
the
think
non-journeyman coach.
Paul Silas.
Paul Silas.
I'm just saying. Do you think it was a LeBron coach? I don't think they like. There's a reason why, and even Chad Finn just said it. Brad Stevens, who came over from Butler, where they had gone to back-to-back national titles, he said it was consistently a problem.
No one respected him.
That the players didn't respect him.
Yeah, but Danny Hurley is not Brad Stevens. I think it's a different thing altogether.
Danny Hurley looks like he could kick some ass. Some
Danny Hurley. So
Fred,
he's coming off 2 titles. I know Brad Stevens had 2 title appearances at Butler. Danny Hurley comes from basketball royalty. Like those.
What about Rick Pitino? He didn't work in the NBA, and he had already won a title.
But it's not because that's because he played his stars at 45 minutes a game, running him up and down. It wasn't him chewing out Ron Mercer.
Here's the other thing, too. How many years does LeBron have left? If he and Danny Hurley butt heads for the first time in LeBron's career, I think his head coach can say, hey, I'm going to be here longer than you, pal. Is LeBron going to get Dan Hurley fired and then play one more season?
Let me ask you this. If you're LeBron James and you have a choice between J.J. Redick, who's never coached, and Dan Hurley, who's coming off 2 national titles, and you have this small championship window, who do you want?
No, I think Dan Hurley is definitely the better coach because clearly we've seen it.
But I think LeBron wants that guy.
Okay,
I think he definitely wants. He's like, babe, give me that guy. Did you see the plays he was running at UConn?
Okay, I think he thinks he wants this guy.
Okay.
So, and I think that he thinks he wants the guy for that and also to help develop Bronny. I'm telling you, I think this is true.
God, I'm praying now that the Suns take Bronny.
Yeah, it would be the Spurs. The Spurs would do it.
I think I saw betting odds, by the way, on DraftKings. They had Bronny plus 180 to go to the Lakers. I wonder if that has changed with this news of Dan Hurley.
I mean, listen, if the Celtics wanted
It's
to
plus
wrestle a little this
180?
back.
Oh, my God. He's definitely getting drafted by the Lakers. Okay.
That's got to be the shortest odds, though, plus 180.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Well, remember, Will Levis shot up, with a Reddit post, so anything can happen.
Yeah, they're looking for anything.
It's a little GameStop situation.
Yeah, literally.
Well, so those are some of the things we agree and don't agree on when it comes to this major story of Dan Hurley now being targeted by the Lakers to be their head coach. Bogusch has more headlines.
Yeah, and just for the record, this all began with an ESPN report at just before 7 a.m. Eastern. Within the last 35 minutes or so, The Athletic has told us that there have been talks between Hurley and the Lakers.
Oh, thank you.
The day after they said the Lakers were zeroing in on J.J. Redick to be their top target.
So New York Times.
What happened to J.J. Redick having a staff in place and reaching out to assistant coaches?
I know.
Like, what are those guys thinking? Like, wait, what now?
They can all go back to your jobs. Nothing to see here.
I wonder who Danny
Who
Hurley
was
hires.
that staff, by the way? Was it like Chris Duhon and I don't know? Who was on the Redick staff? Mike
Well, Sam
Dunleavy?
Cassell, right? That
Was
one.
it Cassell?
Yeah, in the Celtics. He was one of the guys who was coming over. And I think maybe Borrego, too, is going to be an assistant. But now, does Danny Hurley bring over his whole UConn staff, or does one of those guys take the job? That's an interesting angle here.
Oh, one of his assistant coaches?
Yeah, do they get promoted, or does Danny Hurley just bring all his assistant coaches to L.A.? Does he hire a former NBA guy?
Again, we're late in the process here.
He bring Bobby? No, he can't.
Might bring his dad.
Yeah, but his dad has never
Bob
sat on
Sr.
the bench of either of his sons for college. So would he do this? How old is he?
He'll be around. He
Yeah,
might not
that's-
have an actual title, but he'll be there.
He's a Hall of Fame high school coach, for those who may not know. So the Athletics. So Shams now is
Yeah.
changed his
We've
tune.
switched. Yes.
Okay.
He's been led the wrong way for a while, and now he's back on the beaten path.
Tough
rough day for Shams.
He was led astray.
This is one of the biggest, I mean, assuming it does, if it's Dan Early, this is one of the biggest defeats I've seen in recent media history.
There's been a couple other big ones. Do you guys remember Woj got really beaten on whether James Harden was going to leave the Nets and go to the 76ers? That was a big one.
Shams had him on that one?
Shams had him. And the other one, I was randomly thinking about this the other day. Brian Windhorst, who I really like, when he got scooped that LeBron was going back to Cleveland by Lee Jenkins.
Well,
that
scoop,
was a big one.
but was he wrong, though? Did he say he's not going back to Cleveland? I don't remember at all.
No, he was everyone. I remember being watching ESPN and Windhorst looking at his phone as the Sports Illustrated article dropped.
That was crazy that
was
LeBron
crazy.
chose Lee to
Yep.
do that. That was out of control.
That was a crazy day at the office that
the
day.
biggest
at SI.
obviously, the biggest hit in NBA history was Stephen A. calling Miami. That
for LeBron.
and it was only 5 hours ahead of the actual announcement. But that's the one I always remember. That's that's the greatest call ever. I'm sure NFL has a million, but the NBA feels juicier. Who cares if Schefter and Glazer are getting a little tete-a-tete?
No, this is definitely somebody was leading Shams down the wrong path here.
Oh God!
How can you not feel
who.
like you're being burned? Unless there's still a twist left here. And we
Yeah.
mentioned Bob Hurley Sr. wrote a book with Adrian Wojnarowski back in the day about St. Anthony's High School. They have a great book. They have a long relationship between the Hurley family and Woj going back now 20 years or more. So is any part of this to try to help Danny?
Well, at least if nothing else, Shams has Kay Adams to go back to.
Are they dating?
I don't know. She has basically floated it out there multiple times. I think that she would want to.
That's a bid for them,
Yeah, I
right?
think-
She's
I
so
thought it was a
funny. They're
bit.
very funny when they talk about
But
that.
here's the thing, though. How long has this Hurley thing been in the works, though? Has it been for weeks, like Woj has said, or has this maybe been over maybe only just the last couple of days, and maybe Shams wasn't being totally led the wrong way?
Right.
Maybe they were saying, "Hey, right now our front runner's J.J. Redick." If Pelinka or Genie or whoever in the Lakers camp is giving that to Shams. And then Danny Hurley, talks came up within just the last few days.
Right.
And they want to make it seem like he's been at the forefront.
Right. Or that's Woj kind of sticking it to Shams where it's like he's been in from the beginning.
Yeah,
sort of.
you idiot.
I mean, let's be honest.
That's all that's missing from the copy.
Everyone's going to look bad on Tuesday when Dave Adelman, assistant on the Nuggets, gets a job.
Perloff, and remember, you
Yeah,
let
Andrew
everybody
Perloff
know
breaks
you were calling it.
One-ups Woj and Shams for the Dave Adelman hire.
Infinity Sports Insider.
Yeah. I'm assuming that's Rick Adelman's son. I don't even know anything about it.
I think it is.
If it's not, that would be,
That would be so random, right? Another guy named Adelman. Yeah.
For now, though, all of this overshadowing Game 1 for the Celtics and Mavericks tonight in Boston. I believe Maggie likes the Celtics because they've been here before, as if we didn't discuss this yesterday.
I don't know how much experience is, beneficial. You can ask the Buffalo Bills how important Super Bowl experience is.
That remains completely enjoyable for me to hear.
You're dead to me, Chris Knobloch, and the entire city of Edmonton. And I will maintain this, and I'll die on this hill. It is more impressive to go to 4 straight Super Bowls than it is to win one.
I'll agree with you on that.
You're both nuts.
Knobloch may have had the yips, but he threw that one right through Maggie's heart.
I was about to say, he might not be able to throw from second to first, but that dude can win a Stanley Cup.
I don't know if he threw my heart right up the side of my head a little more.
Didn't he hit Keith Olbermann's mom with one of his errant throws? So
yes,
he did, right?
Yeah,
at Yankee Stadium, she was like sitting behind first base.
Yep. Oh, I'm glad you brought up Keith Olbermann. Not to change the subject, but Pat Boyle, somebody in the chat said that you look like a young Keith Olbermann.
No, not at all. I knew young Keith Olbermann.
What did young Keith Olbermann
No,
look like?
you're way better looking than young Keith
Keith was on TV for a long time, so it's not like he's bad looking. You need a mustache.
No. That's not. You way better looking than young. And I'm not even complimenting you right now.
Okay. Well, so it was more so a shot at Olbermann. But either way, I guess I'll take it.
It's like not a dead on, but police sketch artist. It's just you're missing the stash that he had when he was with Dan all those years.
Nope.
Oh, I can grow a mean stash. It might take me 3 weeks, but
it's just
I don't think so.
There's nothing there. There's no common ground of these two people.
Let me guess, they have similar hair color, no?
Yeah.
And the glasses.
Oh, I don't see it at all.
Yeah.
I don't really see it at all.
He looks like he looks more like Ron Jeremy than me.
What's that about? Can we talk about the fact that Chris Knobloch is an NHL coach who's not John Tortorella or one of the 4 guys that gets rehired everywhere? I was shocked that his name.
He's young, so he'll get hired somewhere else. He'll soon be fired from Edmonton, and then he'll get like the Calgary job. He's just starting his cycle.
How is he not coach all 3 teams in the New York area like every other coach? Like,
listen,
give him time.
While you guys are busy making fun of me and what happened in the 90s with my Bills, we got Andrew Kaplan who's doing the real work here, and he's really digging deep where he said, they just announced the Gino Auriemma contract extension.
Yeah.
Oh. What do you mean? Actually, why is that odd?
I thought we found that out yesterday.
What's everyone talking about?
Whoa. I thought we found that out yesterday. We get the specific numbers now.
What does that have to do with anything?
Dan
Keith
Hurley's
Olbermann?
leaving.
Oh, Dan Hurley. Oh, UConn. There I go.
So UConn didn't want to pay Dan Hurley because they wanted to pay Gino?
No, I'm just thinking, would they have said, Gino, we need you for the men's team, or I don't know, something like that.
Or they're doing the contracts now, and he's using it as leverage.
I was reading
that's probably smarter.
They did a big raise, and the governor had to sign off on Dan Hurley to keep him away from Kentucky. So they already did this.
Maybe it's yesterday's price isn't today's price. I don't know.
But they can't do it twice in one off season.
You're right about
but
that.
It says 6 years, $32 million. That's nothing. I wonder what did Gino get? Do we know?
5 years, 18.7, if I'm remembering correctly.
That's it?
Yeah.
Wow. I guess it doesn't cost a lot to live in stores, but. And how's Keith Olbermann playing now on any of this?
Who's he coaching?
We'll get to it.
Pretty cool matchup in Pittsburgh last night. Shohei Ohtani facing Pirates phenom Paul Skenes for the first time. In the first inning, Skenes got Ohtani to swing and miss at 3 fastballs. In the third, Ohtani missed 2 more, but not a third.
3-2. Ohtani tees off straight away center field. This ball's gone. Power supplies power. Home run number 15 for Shohei. Gets the Dodgers on the board against Paul Skenes.
Stephen Nelson on Dodgers TV.
Iron sharpens iron. I like that. That's a dramatic line by that broadcaster, no?
Especially the Owls after.
Yeah. Skenes said this was like big boy stuff or something. They were all talking real big after this
Of course.
game.
The home run didn't
Been
help
here
the
for 5
Dodgers,
seconds.
though. They lost to the Pirates 10-6. Skenes went 5, allowed 3 runs with 8 strikeouts. The Padres losing in Anaheim 3-2, and Manny Machado made an early exit with a strained right hip flexor. The Rangers took care of the Tigers 9-1, but Corey Seager left with hamstring tightness, but just a precaution, said the almighty Bruce Bochy. The Yankees think their ace, Garrett Cole, will need at least 2 more rehab starts before making a season debut. No setbacks for Cole after 45 pitches for AA Somerset 2 nights ago. He developed nerve inflammation in his elbow during spring training. It's a stat line never seen before in the WNBA. Asia Wilson, 36 points, 14 rebounds, 6 steals in the Aces' 95-81 win in Dallas. No one's had 30 points, 10 boards, and 5 steals in a game before. And Oklahoma started the best-of-3 college softball World Series finale with an 8-3 victory over Texas. Kelly Maxwell had her second complete game in as many days for the Sooners. 15 innings pitched, 267 pitches thrown. Guys, back to you.
If that was Major League Baseball, the person would be able to play for 3 months. That'd be it. It's a lot.
Yeah. That's one of the amazing things about softball, though, is like they can just keep throwing and keep pitching. It doesn't matter.
I think Dallas Green had Al Leiter throw that many pitches.
In one game.
Yeah, probably. And that was the end of that. 855-212-4227. Quickly, let's get to Tommy's and Mayo Pack wants to weigh in on college coaches taking over NBA gigs. And this is Dan Hurley, could be the next Lakers head coach. Good morning, Tommy.
Hi, good morning. How you guys doing?
Excellent. What's your thought?
I've been following the Brooklyn Nets since they were the New York Nets. And I remember when they hired Calipari, when he came over from college, and I just remember all the players complaining that he yelled and he screamed and he didn't treat them like men. And I remember Calipari being he was on one of the radio shows talking, and he just said, listen, this is my personality. I can't change. So it only lasted him 2.5 years, and then he went back to college. I think Hurley has that kind of personality, too. What do you guys think?
Tommy, I think it's the biggest question mark if Dan Hurley takes the job, and thank you for that. Appreciate you weighing in. It's can he adapt to coaching superstars who don't want to be dressed down?
Yeah, I mean, but Calipari was also linked to LeBron, and I just don't think he would act that way toward LeBron. I mean, I know what you guys are saying, and maybe Dan Hurley can't change his style, but it's LeBron James. You're telling me, I don't care how hardcore you are, to yell LeBron James, that's a big step. I think he's not some no-name on UConn, and that's all UConn has.
I don't know that it's, I mean, obviously it's always going to be about specific to LeBron, but it is a completely different setup. In the NBA, you never practice. In college, you play 2 or 3 times a week max, and you're practicing the other days, and he's apparently a maniac in practice, so he's losing all of that time with his players in the NBA to work on them. Like, it's going to be a change. I mean, he said it. Like, he needs to be different.
How's he going to develop Bronny if he's not practicing?
That I can't help you with.
Well, the other part, too, so we had Chad Finn on who said Brad Stevens, always had this uphill battle of when he was with the Celtics head coach. Now he's in the front office, but always had this uphill battle of not, played in the NBA and tough. And I'm looking back, think about the guys who are on this team. You would not think these are the guys who would be giving Brad Stevens, a hard time. First of all, he had Gordon Hayward on the team. I know he got hurt. His own guy from Butler. Do you think Jaylen Brown, who was a young player at the time,
didn't he have Marcus
Smart?
Yes, Marcus Smart.
Okay, but Marcus Smart.
Sure.
So that just goes to show you it doesn't have to be the superstar who's ticked off about
but
it.
He's a top 5 pick, star in college. He was a big deal.
I'm just saying, I don't think that Tatum and Brown seem like they're coach
But also,
killers.
too, I think that Brad Stevens is just different than, at least, he's a Hurley. Everyone knows who, not everyone, not the young guys, but everyone knows Bobby Hurley. A lot of people know Bob Hurley Sr. Danny Hurley was at least a big-time college player. I was wrong. He didn't get a cup of tea, but he started at Seton Hall for a very good team. It's just different. Everyone knows who he is. And Brad Stevens is just this nice, nerdy-looking guy. Danny Hurley looks like he could murder you at any given second. That's just, especially on game day.
I mean, Anthony Davis knows who Dan Hurley is. He might not know who Bobby or Bob Hurley are.
Just because of age.
Yeah. There's been a big gap between Bobby Hurley being Duke Bobby Hurley and his dad being we know his dad because we live where he
but
coached.
There's 40 documentaries on Bobby Hurley and Duke. I mean,
do you think D'Angelo Russell's watching?
Do you think he's watched the Fab Five doc? I mean, Bobby Hurley was all over that bad boy.
Maybe not.
D'Angelo Russell and Anthony Davis have been around. I'm sure they watch all those stuff. I think they know.
I don't know, man.
Bobby Hurley's an iconic name.
It is, but it's not the Mannings. They are an iconic name, but it's not that.
He's not Brad Stevens, who played, defensive 2-guard at DePaul. He's a Hurley.
He's Dan Hurley. I don't know that he's a Hurley matters. I don't think that I'd be more surprised if Anthony Davis could tell you anything about Bobby or Bob Hurley.
Well, the other part, too, is I think that John Calipari now would have had a better shot in the NBA because he coached half the NBA. Who are going to be the UConn players who are in the league right now who are like, no, Danny Hurley, he's the guy. Like, who are your allies? Is what I'm asking in terms of the players.
Well, obviously LeBron, and you saw it in the story, was tweeting all sorts of things during the tournament about how good the UConn plays were. So that's one ally. It's an important one. D'Angelo Russell doesn't like any coach, so I don't know what you're doing there. Like, I think LeBron and AD will at least start out on the right page.
855-212-4227. You are welcome to weigh in on this stunning news about Dan Hurley could be the next head coach of the Lakers. JJ Redick, take a step back.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Oh, Maggie Gray on the radio waves, talking sports and scores and the games we crave. But when she's done with touchdowns and three-point shots, she dives into conspiracies and connects the dots. Oh, Maggie Gray, with your wild theories, you make history sound like a daytime series. From grassy knolls to the CIA, what will you dream of today? JFK wasn't just a simple case. I got the scoop right here on my plate. She's got a playbook full of suspects, from mob bosses to alien insects. Oh, Maggie Gray, with your wild theories, you make history sound like a daytime series. From grassy knolls to the CIA, what will you dream of today? Oh, Maggie Gray, with your wild theories, you make his stay plot. Maybe it's something that we all forgot. She breaks it down like a post-game review, analyzing every clue. Oh, Mel, you're true. Oh, Maggie Gray, with your wild theories, you make history sound like a daytime series. From grassy knolls to the CIA, what will you dream of today? With your wild theories, you make history sound like a daytime series. From grassy knolls to the CIA, what will you dream of today? Oh, Maggie Gray on the radio waves, talking sports and scores and the games we crave. But when she's done with touchdowns and three,
2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Well, it's the news story that really took over the whole show today. It's about Dan Hurley being the surprise, I say front runner? I don't know if that's too strong for the LA Lakers head coaching job. Woj saying Lakers are targeting Dan Hurley and they are prepared to offer him a lucrative and long-term contract to come over. We asked you on Twitter at Maggie and Pearl if Dan Hurley becomes the next Lakers head coach, is the drafting and development of Bronny James the main reason? I think yes. Most of you say no. 77% say no. I think it's a part of it.
The main reason. You really think the main reason for a team that was in the playoffs with championship aspirations, they're getting Bobby Hurley. Well, Dan Hurley. What happens when LeBron retires?
Well, then they have a coach who maybe can develop young guys, Bronny being one of them. And I think that we talk about what's the real role of an NBA head coach, right? Is it X's and O's? Is it ego management? Is it getting along with the superstars? Danny Hurley so far has one of those, which is definitely X's and O's. How does he do gelling with a team of stars? I don't know about that. I don't know. He's not an obvious pick.
They definitely need the help on the X's and O's because you saw in the Nuggets series, they don't seem to have a great offense.
Okay, but what's the X's and O's in the last 5 minutes of the game when you have LeBron James on your team? What are you really doing
there? We
get
32-year-old LeBron, that's one thing. But now you can't have D'Angelo Russell have the ball in his hands as every shot clock's expiring.
Well, that's the front office's fault.
No, it's the offense. They're not running the right actions. Like, look at the Mavs. Watch the Mavs tonight. The ball gets where it's supposed to go. That never happens with the Lakers.
Okay, well, D'Angelo Russell, though, being on the team and having a player option that he can opt into, that's the front office's fault. I see what you're saying. That's not the coach or anything like that.
But they need a genius to get in there and de-emphasize that guy's impact. I mean, he actually had a really good year, but crunch time, they need the ball to get to the right place, and it's not happening.
They might trade for another star. And then what's Dan Hurley? That's going to be even more of a challenge. I'm not saying it can't work and I wouldn't hire him. I'm just saying it's not a slam dunk, no pun. Angie's in Atlanta has a thought on this. Good morning, Angie.
Good morning, guys. How are you today?
We're great.
So I have a couple thoughts. One, when you say they're going to hire Dan Hurley to come in and Maggie, you're saying that his main purpose is to develop Bronny. Well, what does that benefit Danny Hurley? I mean, does that benefit him? So what's the draw for that besides the money? Because I think he loves the game too much to just go for the money.
I think money
just come in and develop Bronny.
I think a couple things.
Good enough to play for him at UConn.
Right. No, you're right. I think a couple of things. I think it's if Dan Hurley was actually really looking to go to the NBA. Coaching the Lakers is the cream of the crop, you know.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. But then he's going to be just basically a babysitter to Bronny James. Okay.
Well, Bronny or LeBron, who do you want to babysit? Because you're the coach of the Lakers. You're kind of the baby. Either you're the babysitter for LeBron or Bronny.
That's like babysitting an older adult. Like, what are you talking about? Babysitting LeBron?
You're his.
And Perloff, you were saying how who's going to come in and yell at LeBron? Well, you're hiring Danny Hurley, who has a style of coaching, and then when you bring him in, you're asking him to change his style. And the respect goes both ways, guys. It goes towards, hey, you have to respect your coach and his style just as much as whoever comes in isn't allowed to yell at LeBron.
Yeah, I want to point out one thing, though. Danny Hurley's players adore Danny Hurley. Like, they love him. They're all in. And he said a lot of that vitriol is towards the officials. Like, a lot of that craziness is not against his own players. like in the tournament.
Right.
So I think he could work here.
I mean, Danny Hurley himself said he would have to mature. Like, this is not us, pulling this out of thin air. Right. Angie, great call, though, and appreciate you weighing in. When I say someone's babysitting LeBron, I mean babysitting his ego. You're there to execute LeBron's will, no matter who you are.
LeBron just wants desperately to win. He really, really wants to win, and he thinks that a coach like that could help him. I mean,
yeah, he might not be wrong, but I just wonder how it's LeBron, and then it's how does he? Is this something he actually wants or something he thinks he wants?
You might be right about that. I mean, because LeBron does seem like he thinks that way. Coach is like, it feels great now, and then 2 years later, the guy's gone. But
so he's had 6 head coaches.
I think the important question for Danny Hurley is this a short-term play or a long-term play? Because short-term, can you get one more title out of LeBron, or long-term, are you going to be able to build a champion having to deal with the post-LeBron effect? Like, there's going to be a vacuum there. It's a tough spot to be. Man, what a crazy morning and story. Thank you to Pat Boyle and to Pete Bellotti, Andrew Bogusch, Andrew Kaplan, the Weedos, the coffee drinkers. Enjoy the NBA Finals soon. Oklahoma softball as well. Wow, they're both on? Oh, my gosh, I'm going to be busy. See you tomorrow to finish out the week strong.